Chapter 1284. This string of items that looked like internal cores had completely evoked Yun Yang's distant memories. Amidst the sudden realization, he was struck with a sudden realization. He had really seen this river before. However, that had been in the Tianxian continent. Yun Yang could not help recalling the time when he had gone to the empire of Zhou and caused a ruckus. He had been in the same boat as Shengguan Lingxiu on the way back. His thoughts were all over the place, and he was actually lost in thought. The river continued to flow eastward day and night. I wonder where the lady is? Shengguan Lingxiu's face floated in his mind. Her bright eyes seemed to be glaring at him sharply, as if she was asking, Yun Yang, as your fiancé, have you ever missed me all these years? Of course I have. Yun Yang chuckled and shook his head, murmuring, are you all right now? This fish was clearly the same fish that he had encountered in the lunar river. However, he had encountered many of these gigantic fishes back then. It was just that they were all illusory and there was no actual contact. This should be the most mysterious aspect of the lunar river. There were countless gigantic fishes in the lunar river, but they were all illusory. It was known as the unsolved mystery of the Tianxian continent. Standing by the river now, Yun Yang finally understood that the lunar river in the Tianxian continent was only a projection of the river before him. The gigantic fishes in the lunar river were, of course, the projections of the fishes in this river. Although he didn't know the reason behind it, this guess should not be far from the truth. I remember that these gigantic fish monsters were everywhere in this river back then, and they all had huge cores in them, bunches upon bunches. I wonder if there are any left in this river now. If there are, it would be another huge gain. This leader Yun of the Raiders of All But God, the man who was known as the Lord of All But God, stroked his chin and looked at the river in front of him. He could not help the greed in his gaze. The demon cores and cores of these fishes were all good stuff. In the past, he had entered a treasure trove and returned empty-handed. This time, he could not miss it. However, the scale of the river before him was many times larger than the lunar river he had seen previously. It's certain that there are good things inside, but it doesn't mean that there aren't any dangers. Yun Yang looked at the surface of the water, vaguely feeling that there was an extremely powerful presence beneath the surface. Although the surface of the water was as smooth as a mirror, there was an astonishing aura that seemed to be real and illusory, coming from upstream and flowing downstream. Or they could go upstream from the lower reaches. Yun Yang's gaze flickered. With a sudden howl, he slammed his hand down. What followed was a loud bang that shook the surroundings. It was as if the calm river water had suddenly been struck by countless explosives. The river water soared into the sky, and the water shot thousands of meters into the sky. It was a marvelous and breathtaking sight. However, when Yun Yang looked as far as he could, he still could not see the underwater riverbed. I've already used 70% of my cultivation in that palm strike just now. It's enough to destroy mountains and split rocks, and it's not a big deal to stir up hundreds of feet of water. But I still can't see the bottom. It looks like this river is deeper than I thought, and there are more secrets. At this moment, a strange roar suddenly sounded. Amidst the turbulence of the river, countless whirlpools were formed. A gigantic fish monster broke through the surface of the water and appeared forcefully. It was a fish that was even larger in size. Just its head alone was hundreds of feet wide. The white teeth in the fish's mouth were like jade pillars that held up the sky. It was a terrifying sight to behold. The strange fish sprung up from the water and charged towards Yun Yang, its mouth wide open. Before it came close, Yun Yang could already feel a strong suction force, almost causing him to lose his footing. This fish is so strong. The realm of this fish might not be higher than Yun Yang's, but its innate ability to swallow the wind and clouds was something that Yun Yang had never seen before. Yun Yang sprung up to avoid the strange fish's giant mouth. With a loud cry, he channeled all of his cultivation base and slammed his palm over. Faced with Yun Yang's powerful strike, the giant fish did not evade. It maintained its ferocious momentum as it charged over. With a loud boom, the two forces collided head-on. Yun Yang was flung away like a kite with a broken string, disappearing tens of thousands of feet away. At the moment of contact, Yun-yang had quickly assessed that the fish's true cultivation base was only at the level of a royal saint and that it was definitely not his opponent. It was only right for the fish to explode and die from such a direct hit. However, the reality was that Yun-yang was sent flying. The reason for this was simple and brutal. It was because of the terrifying strength that came with his massive body. Such a head-on collision had turned the tables and turned the tide of defeat into victory. There were three factors that determined the outcome of a head-on clash. First, it was the cultivation base of both parties. Yun-yang was a realm higher than his opponent. Second, it was the purity of both parties' spiritual energy, which Yun-yang was still far superior to. Third, it was the addition of physical strength. This was an aspect that was usually not taken seriously, but it had played a decisive role today. Compared to the fish, Yun-yang's physical strength was like a mayfly trying to shake a tree. It was not that he was not an opponent, they were on completely different levels. This is the standard definition of one man's strength defeating 10 men. Yun-yang could not help exclaiming when he understood the current situation. He wanted to bully the fish with his superior cultivation base, but he was pushed back by the other party's formidable physical strength. It was self-defeating and embarrassing. Seeing that Yun-yang was flung away, the giant fish that had gained the upper hand swayed in the air and turned into a towering giant that was at least hundreds of feet tall. However, its head was still a fish's head and there was a fish tail with flickering scales trailing behind it. It roared and sprinted towards Yun-yang with large strides. F***ck me. Yun-yang's eyes were as round as saucers, almost falling out of their sockets. A fish that was swimming in the water just now was now running on land, and it was running rather fast. The scene was too beautiful. Not only did he not want to see it, he did not even dare to imagine it. Seeing the murderous intent of the other party, Yun-yang dared not be negligent. He soared into the sky, his body growing larger as he floated in the air. In the end, he had turned into a giant that was hundreds of feet tall. He held a long saber in his hand, his eyes were like the sun and the moon, and his mouth was as large as a basin as he cried, "Slash!" A ray of light came crashing down. Seeing that the other party's attack was coming again, the fish did not evade but charged straight at the saber light. It was as swift as lightning, its momentum not the least bit weaker. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Chapter 1285. When Yun-yang was sent flying again, he slashed 178 times the moment of contact, all at the same spot. The fish seemed to have no combat experience as it charged forward foolishly, allowing Yun-yang to slash at it like a fool. However, the result of the 178 slashes was only to break through the fish's defense and flesh. The fish bones inside were almost unharmed. Yun-yang was initially comforted by the splattering of blood, but the swift healing of the wound in the next moment dumbfounded him. After countless slashes, the only result was actually a strand of the beard of this huge strange fish. Not only does this fish possess the monstrous strength that transcends levels, but it also has a body that is terrifyingly resilient. Even its self-recovery ability is exceptional. It's unbelievably amazing. Yun-yang was a little confused and flustered when he realized how amazing the strange fish was. It was just a fish, okay? It had never cultivated a specific cultivation method and was only using its body as a weapon. Its combat experience was minimal. Its transformation was incomplete and it could not even speak. How could it be so strong? The fish fell and slashed again. After 7 to 8 consecutive slashes, Yun-yang felt that the fish's strength seemed to be decreasing. However, just when Yun-yang thought that he had a chance to take it down, the fish roared and turned to flee. It only took a few steps before it reached the edge of the river and leaped into it. The surface of the river bubbled and disappeared without a trace. Before Yun-yang, who had been thrown into the air by the recoil, could land, the fish had already escaped. Yun-yang could not help but stare at it with wide eyes. This fish, its combat instinct and survival intelligence were not low at all. It charged when it should charge, cowered when it should be coward, and did not hesitate when it should run. F***ck, shouldn't such a huge creature be fearless of death? It should be able to judge the situation and advance and retreat accordingly. How could a fish like this be so cunning? How are we humans going to survive? However, no matter what Yun-yang thought, there was no movement in the river for an hour after the fish had gone down. The surface of the water was quiet, without any ripples or ripples. This is really strange. Yun-yang scratched his head, planning to poke his body out of the water to see if he could use the holy water charm to penetrate it. Suddenly, a strange noise came from the water. Huge fishes were attacking him from all directions. The one in front had half of its beard cut off. It was the big fish from before. From the other 3 directions, there were 3 other giant fishes that were similar in size to the previous one charging towards Yun-yang. Yun-yang was stupefied at this moment, dumbfounded and speechless. It turned out that the mermaid wasn't trying to escape just now. At least, it wasn't just a simple escape. It was just a tactical diversion. His backup plan was to ask for reinforcements and helpers to help him in battle. Now that he had found a helper, it was only natural that he would return for revenge. But are you really just a fish? Yun-yang did not have the time to think about it. He made a hasty escape. The combined combat power of these 4 giant fish monsters was equivalent to 8 crane ninth heavens. In other words, in terms of pure strength, their current combat power was even stronger than when Yun-yang fought against 14 Supreme Saints alone. Seeing that Yun-yang had fled, the 4 fishes rushed ashore at the same time and chased after him, unwilling to give up on their vile intentions. Yun-yang left a trail of dust in front of him while the 4 fishes gave chase. After a while, the 4 fishes suddenly opened their mouths when they realized that they couldn't close the distance. Bubbles formed in the fishes' mouths before they spat them out one after another. Boom, 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 boom. A series of loud explosions rang out as smoke and dust rose tens of thousands of feet into the air. F***ck me. These fishes can actually release bombs. After a while, the smoke and dust finally settled, revealing a huge pit on the ground. Yun-yang was nowhere to be seen. The 4 fishes did not stop. One of them leaped into the pit that they had just come out of and swung its tail. Swoosh, the soil on both sides of the ground parted at the sound and connected to the river. The water from the river flowed in swiftly and filled up the pit. Then, the 4 big fishes jumped into the pit together, searching for Yun-yang's whereabouts. Yun-yang, who had already turned into a cloud and hovered in midair, was naturally paying attention to the commotion below, his heart filled with awe. Did these fishes actually know the art of war? The series of changes had truly shocked Yun-yang. It was only because of Yun-yang's quick reflexes and the support of his manifestation powers that he had been able to deal with the earlier incident. If he had been slightly slower or hesitant in his reflexes, he might have already fallen under the combined attack of the 4 fishes without knowing why. Looking down from above, there was a small connected lake at intervals near the river. Initially, Yun-yang had thought that the demons nearby had made them useful, but now he knew that these places were actually supply stations for these fish demons. No wonder there were no demons from the land who stayed by the river. Yun-yang had finally understood it personally. There were so many powerful fish demons in this river. What kind of demon would dare to come by the river? Demons below the Royal Saint Emperor level would be swallowed by the fishes the moment they met them. Not to mention catching fish to eat, that was not catching fish, it was giving snacks. Even if a Supreme Saint demon came, he would not be able to gain the upper hand and could even perish here if he was not careful. Yun-yang was already an excellent example. Take Crane Ninth Heaven for example. Although he had the ability of a 3rd-level Supreme Saint, he might not be able to defeat the opponent head-on. If he had encountered the 4 fishes, he would have perished if he could not escape at once. At this moment, a water arrow shot up into the sky from upstream. Then, a fish that was tens of thousands of feet larger than the 4 fishes combined emerged abruptly, howling towards the sky. The howl gave Yun-yang goosebumps. Was this still a fish? The fish's howl was like the howl of a wolf that had been flipped upside down. Other than that, there was really no difference. The giant fish howled a few times, but the four big fishes did not delay and quickly returned to the river. They raised their heads beside the largest fish, as if they were communicating. A moment later, the largest fish charged out of the water with a loud boom, soaring 10,000 feet into the sky. Then, it actually stopped in the air, its head swaying left and right as it searched its surroundings. After a long, long time, it fell back into the water and began to howl again. Following the howl, the entire river suddenly rippled and rolled. The silhouettes of large fishes came from upstream and downstream, continuously gathering in this direction. It was as if a notice had been given, and countless big fishes had gathered here for a meeting. Chapter 1286. Some of the larger fish began to expand the surface of the water. Slowly, the surface of the water was filled with black, giant fish heads. Yun-Yang could not even count them from the sky. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000. Among these giant fish, about half of them were as big as the previous four fish, while the smaller ones made up a third of them. Above them were the giant fish that could hover in the air. However, the 10,000 feet tall ones were not the biggest among them. There were still 20,000 feet tall, 30,000 feet tall. They did not even know that countless fish were gathering here from upstream and downstream. Yun-Yang sucked in a cold breath. This was only a large river. Although it was unbelievably large, it was only a river. This was not the ocean. If it were not for the fact that these fish demons could not stay on the shore for long, the master of the demon peacock realm would have been these fish that had ascended to the throne. On the surface of the water, tens of thousands of giant fish heads lifted up, their eyes rolling as they looked at the sky, watching the sudden arrival of a powerful two-legged fish that their companions had mentioned. However, where was the powerful two-legged fish? They did not see it. Hundreds of thousands of eyes were filled with confusion. Yun-Yang, who could not resist such temptation, made a decision. He charged down. Then, he was surrounded by the fish from all directions. It did not take long for him to explode, shatter, and vanish into thin air. However, Yun-Yang was currently in the form of wind and cloud, so he was not afraid of vanishing into thin air. In the blink of an eye, he returned to his original form in the sky. Then, Yun-Yang charged down again. Again, he was shattered. Then, he transformed and charged down again. After dozens of experiments, Yun-Yang finally confirmed that although these giant fish were extremely powerful and their combined combat power was so great that even a Saint Lord might not be able to kill all of them, their intelligence was still very low. The counterattack strategy against Yun-Yang earlier was only a chain reaction driven by their instincts. They only had one instinct, and that was to guard this river and not let any living creatures enter. Any living thing that entered would be their mortal enemy. They would think of all ways and extreme measures to target them. Aside from this, they were not all that scary. At least, they were not invincible. Yun-Yang's eyes were already glowing with a blinding light. It was the light of a money grubber who saw a treasure. Not only was the treasure in front of him ownerless, but he had also thought of a way to obtain it. Another pie falling from the sky. These are all mine. Yun-Yang waved his hands excitedly. Just as he was about to take action, a sudden thought struck him and he quickly hid himself high up in the sky, concealing his presence. From afar, an unusually powerful aura approached. Looking over, Yun-Yang realized that it was a few golden eagles with wingspans of tens of thousands of feet. They dashed towards the school of fish brazenly. The shoal of fish on the surface of the water saw the giant eagles attack and immediately scattered in all directions. He could see the school of fish fleeing in panic under the water. They were utterly defeated. Compared to the unity they had before, they were like two different fish. Yun-Yang could not help but wonder. The school of fish was exceptionally powerful. Even if there was a natural enemy attacking, there should be room for maneuver. How could they be defeated without a fight? Then, the answer to Yun Yang's bewilderment appeared before his eyes. Each of the 7 to 8 giant eagles rose into the sky with a large fish in their beaks. They gathered in the air and leisurely cut open the stomachs of the fish they had hunted to retrieve the beast's cores. They then dug out a bunch of cores that were even bigger than a bull's head. Then, the giant fish's bodies disappeared abruptly, probably kept into a spatial ring. Without a word, the giant eagles took flight and left immediately. They came in a hurry and left in a hurry. They did not waste any time, and each eagle only caught one fish. Once they hit the target, they would leave immediately. Just as they were about to leave, a giant fish covered in golden scales suddenly leaped out of the water in the river hundreds of miles away and soared into the sky like a meteor. A surge of mental energy shook the sky as well. Damn eagles! Those eagles completely ignored the powerful mental energy, and they flapped their wings without even turning back. They once again rose to a height of several tens of thousands of feet, and they swaggered off. It was obvious that they were wary of the giant golden fish, but they were more confident in their own condition, certain that they could shake off the golden fish's pursuit. The giant fish's mental energy was earth-shattering and did not stop for a long, long time. Yun Yang tried hard to understand it. It should be a series of curses, but the killer was already far away. Any more curses would be futile. After a while, the giant golden fish fell back into the river. As the golden light faded, the surface of the river regained its calmness. Yun Yang could not help heaving a sigh of relief. The giant eagles that came were mostly 3rd or 4th level of the Supreme Saint, at least at Crane 9th Heaven's level. They should be the Eagle clan's pinnacle combat power. The golden fish, however, gave Yun Yang the feeling that it had almost surpassed the Supreme Saint's limit. Could it be the Fish King of the Fish Clan? Knowing that the School of Fish's ability had increased, Yun Yang's interest grew. In the next moment, he turned into a water droplet and melted into the water soundlessly. My ability may not be comparable to the Demon Clan's pinnacle, but no demon would be better than me when it comes to dealing with these fish. The golden fish was still wandering in the water, occasionally looking up at the surface. It was obviously guarding against another attack by the giant eagles, or perhaps it was hoping that the giant eagles would come again and give the other party a good beating to vent its anger. However, just as Yun Yang entered the water, the golden fish king turned its head abruptly and stared fixedly at the water where Yun Yang was hiding. A thick, oppressive aura came crashing down. The entire stretch of water was isolated from the rest of the world, like an independent space. At once, everything, including the water droplet that Yun Yang had turned into, could not move an inch. In the next moment, the golden fish king swam over slowly and seeped an extremely dense mental energy into him. Yun Yang could feel the strength of this mental energy. An unprecedented sense of danger rose within him. Although Yun Yang's manifestation powers had been severely injured by powerful enemies in the past, they had never been truly broken by any opponent. Today, however, Yun Yang had a subtle feeling that he would be exposed at any time before this strange fish's mental energy. As expected, the strange fish's mental energy seemed to have seen Yun Yang's existence as it coiled itself around the water droplet that Yun Yang had turned into with precision. An unprecedentedly strong sense of danger assaulted Yun Yang. With a flash of thought, Yun Yang communicated with Emmy immediately. Emmy responded immediately and created a few more water droplets for Yun Yang. Chapter 1287. In the next moment, the water droplet that Yun Yang had turned into was completely enveloped by the giant fish's mental energy and disappeared. It was a complete disappearance. It was not just a devouring, it had evaporated from this world. Perhaps, it could be said that if Emmy had not created the droplet clones for Yun Yang at the last minute, if Emmy had not been controlling them, Yun Yang would have lost his life here without a trace. It would have been a death of both soul and spirit, an irreversible death. The moment the water droplet was enveloped by the Fish King's mental energy, Yun Yang felt a sharp pain in his head, his spiritual world almost collapsing in an instant. After the giant golden fish had destroyed Yun Yang's water droplet clone, it was obvious that it had not had enough. Although the irritating aura had completely disappeared, it still felt something. It searched for a long, long time without finding anything. After a long pause, it finally swam away with a flick of its tail. An hour later, Yin-Yang felt that he had finally regained some of his consciousness, but he felt as if he had been drained of energy. It was as if his brain was being sliced by 10,000 criminals with knives, incessantly slicing away at it. Aya, Emmy's voice seemed to ring in the sky. It was unusually ethereal, extremely surreal. Yin-Yang exhaled deeply. Emmy, go ashore immediately. On the shore, hundreds of miles away from the river, Yin-Yang had rested for 3 days. Only then did he recover the mental energy that he had lost earlier. He had returned to normal, but once he thought of the adventure he had taken, he still felt a lingering fear. It was too dangerous. Everything has been too smooth since I came to the bound of universe. I'd been blindly arrogant, only knowing myself but not others. I knew that the Fish King wasn't to be trifled with, but I was still arrogant. It's like a pie dropped from the sky, a very big one indeed. I almost choked to death. Yin-Yang reflected deeply on himself. My manifestation is unparalleled in this world. It's true that a Supreme Lord can't find me, a Saint Lord might not be able to either, but it doesn't mean that it's invincible. The world is vast, there are plenty of foreign experts who can break through my powers. These golden-colored fish don't know how to speak, they don't know anything about martial arts, and they have never cultivated before. Yet, they were able to discover me through their instincts, and they even tried to harm and destroy me. Thinking about it is like facing the enemy, my heart is always like crossing the bridge. These words should never be said to be forgotten. In the future, I definitely cannot make this kind of mistake again. I should always maintain the vigilance that I had when I was in the profound sky continent, and carry it out from start to finish. It is better to be safe than sorry, no matter how cautious I am. It was only after a long period of self-warning that Yin-Yang regained his focus. Aya. Emmy said weakly. Emmy was still traumatized by Yin-Yang's encounter. It's okay, it's okay. For this golden fish to be able to discover me, it must be because it is a king, and its mental energy is extraordinary. Other big fish definitely don't have this ability. Yin-Yang's gaze froze for a moment. This could be an opportunity, a great opportunity. I can't let it go. 2 hours later. Yin-Yang, who had once again morphed into the wind and clouds, returned to the sky above the river. Then, he landed on the water surface carefully and melted into the water. To be safe, Yin-Yang had long left a few clones of himself in a secret spot on the shore. Even if he were to encounter the king of fish again, he would not be instantly annihilated. Fortunately, the oppressive feeling had disappeared after he descended. Countless large fishes were still swimming in the river, but the golden fish was nowhere to be found. It had left. To Yin-Yang, this was great news, but he still observed it carefully for a long time. Although his safety was guaranteed with the presence of his clones, Yin-Yang did not want to go through the excruciating pain a second time. When he was finally sure that the king of fish was no longer in danger, Yin-Yang shifted his gaze to a large fish that was thousands of feet long. The fish was swimming around leisurely, without the slightest sense of danger. It opened its mouth gracefully, closed its mouth, and opened its mouth again. Yin-Yang, on the other hand, followed the flow of the water and slipped into the fish's stomach silently, as if there was no one else around. Inside the fish's stomach. Speaking of which, Yin-Yang had a similar experience when he was in the Tianxian continent. When he saw the bunch of grapes' inner cores again at such a close distance, especially when he felt the pure and refined spiritual qi of heaven and earth, he sucked in a deep breath and gripped one of them with his hand. With a soft pop, the grape's inner core that he had tried so hard to obtain was removed. After Yin-Yang succeeded, he did not delay or hesitate, entering his deific consciousness space at once, at the bottom of the river. The large fish that was swimming around leisurely suddenly trembled, and then it suddenly roared. Its huge body seemed to have gone mad as it struggled violently. Boom, boom, boom. The other big fishes that had just come over to communicate with this big fish were instantly startled by this big fish's violent rolling. Was this guy crazy? However, Once the fish began to thrash about, it did not stop. It grew more and more violent and frenzied. In the end, it dashed downstream at full speed. The king was downstream. Seek help from the king. This was the fish's only consciousness at the moment. Even when it was in excruciating pain and its mind was muddled, it still embarked on the journey to seek help from the king, relying on its instinct to win. Along the way, it dashed about violently, injuring countless fish, but it did not care and continued to charge forward. The inner cores in its body were diminishing one by one, and following that, its strength was diminishing bit by bit. After dashing for about 1,000 miles, the fish finally stopped. It was not that it did not want to continue swimming to seek help, but it could not swim anymore. Its natal inner cores were all gone. Having lost its life force, this massive body was only a huge burden. Although the demon core was still there, it knew that it was only its last life-saving straw that could snap at any time. It lay in the mud at the bottom of the river in despair, waiting for the final moment to come. Once the demon core was gone, it would be the end of its life. Its eyes were filled with pleading as it stared at its companions that were swimming around in front of it. It was using its gaze to ask for help. This was its last resort, but none of its companions could understand its meaning. Finally, the big fish stopped moving under the water. It was not dead yet, still breathing, but it could only wait for death here. It was about to lose everything it had. A small water droplet flowed upstream from the fish's abdomen towards its head. Chapter 1288. A gigantic chi core disappeared from the fish's head, and the fish quietly died. There was not a single trace of life left in it. At the bottom of the water, it rose and fell with the flow of the current. A water droplet slipped out of the dead fish's mouth soundlessly and drifted into the mouth of another big fish that had come to observe its companion out of curiosity. This big fish was strange. Why did it rush down like a madman and then lie there motionless? That's not right. Why is there no sign of life? No. Why does my stomach hurt so much? What's going on? In the next moment, the big fish began to tumble violently as it swam down the river. 2 hours later, Yin Yang returned to the shore and morphed into the wind, blowing 30,000 miles upstream. He then dove into the water once more and continued to go with the flow, searching for his next target. Why did all the fish that were hit rush down when they realized it? Why didn't they go upstream? It can't be because of the flow's inertia. The only reason is that there's a savior downstream. This means that the golden fish king is downstream. That's why I can't go downstream. It doesn't matter. As long as I restrict my movements to upstream, I'll be safe, as long as the target doesn't exceed 4 big fish in each round. I'll leave the river quickly after I'm done and return upstream. I mustn't be greedy, or else there'll be a huge crisis. 4 hours later, Yin Yang emerged from the water again and rushed upstream. This time, he sprinted 80,000 miles in one go. The river was too vast and there were enough strange fish as well. It was more efficient this way. The internal cores and demonic cores of the giant fish in the space would increase every once in a while. Half a month later, they had piled up into a small hill. A month later, Yin Yang morphed into the wind and crossed hundreds of thousands of miles in one go. However, he did not see a single big fish along the way. Of course, there were still big fish that were hundreds of feet long, but those that were thousands of feet or tens of thousands of feet long that Yin Yang had targeted were nowhere to be seen. This was illogical. The river was long, almost endless, and there were countless strange fishes in the river. Although Yin Yang had slaughtered a lot of them in the past month, it was still impossible to say that he had exterminated all of them. However, this was the reality before his eyes. The only explanation was, there was another reason behind it. He searched upstream along the water flow, slowing down his speed. As expected, when he came to the source, he saw countless snow-capped mountains on the other side. A large amount of melted snow flowed into a huge lake before it flowed out from the lake. There were still some big fish in the lake, as far as he could see. Along the way, however, there were not many of them left. The few big fish that had slipped through the net had all been taken care of by Yunyang. Turning into a water droplet and entering the lake once more, Yunyang charged upwards like his but was on fire, returning to the sky. The reason for the urgency was simple. Following Yunyang's escape, more than a dozen large golden fish soared into the sky. The reason for his haste was simple. Following Yunyang's escape, there were more than a dozen golden fish that soared into the sky. The golden fish kings were far more powerful than their peers and were considered the king of fish, but they were still not the strongest king of the river. How could they be the only king among the countless kings? There must be an even higher existence, the mermaid emperor, above these golden fish kings. Yunyang, who was like a fish that had escaped the net, ignited his extreme speed and soared beyond the clouds in an instant. The dozen or so fish kings persistently circled in the air for an entire day before reluctantly descending. This made the giant eagles that were flying in this direction turn back immediately. What was wrong with these golden fish? It was better not to provoke them for now. Yunyang did not give up. Early the next morning, he began to swim downstream from the upper reaches. There should be big fish coming up from the lower reaches of such a long river, right? I'll be fine if I can stop a few more. I've only caught about 4,900 giant fish now. I need another 40 to 50 more to make up 5,000. Once I've gathered 5,000, I'll leave and won't stay any longer. Other than the monster cores and internal cores of the strange fishes, Yunyang had also accidentally discovered that he could generate a massive amount of karmic energy when he killed these gigantic fishes. Yunyang pondered and understood the reason. This river stretched for more than hundreds of thousands of miles, almost spanning the entire demonic realm. The boundary of this river was regarded as a forbidden zone by the strange fish. Anyone who dared to step into it would be killed immediately. The strange fish had occupied this place for countless years, so it was only natural that they had killed countless enemies. How could the karmic energy be killed? It was because of this that Yunyang was reluctant to give up. However, when he had swum for about 50 to 60,000 miles downstream, he saw 30 to 40 giant golden fish coming towards him aggressively against the current. He had almost bumped into them. Sect leader Yun was so scared that his soul almost left his body. He immediately flew up to the 9 heavens. Reality had proven that young Master Yun's hasty escape was correct. Almost at the same time Yunyang made his escape, the 30 to 40 giant golden fish had already soared into the sky. The sky glowed brilliantly, illuminating tens of thousands of miles of land around them. It was a spectacular and shocking sight. After a long time, when Yunyang, who was unwilling to give up, descended again, he realized that the entire river was filled with giant golden fish. 10,000 miles of each river, no more, no less. It encompassed hundreds of thousands of miles of the river, and the king of the golden fish resided there. As the king of the fish stayed, many of the giant fish came back from the lower reaches, but Yunyang dared not go down. It was too dangerous to face the king of the fish. Perhaps he should just leave first. The next time I pass by this place when I come back, I must get another batch. Yunyang left regretfully, not taking a single cloud with him. There was only a gust of wind from his sleeves, filled with the stench of fish. Sigh, what I've gained this time is really a fly in the ointment. The next time I come back, I must go straight to the downstream. This river should lead to the legendary demonic soul sea. I'll take a stroll in the demonic soul sea then. Yunyang was still clicking his tongue in regret when he was tens of thousands of miles away. It was such a pity. Treasures. If other experts knew that this fellow was still not satisfied, whether it was the Bound of Yellow or the demon race's higher-ups, they would be so furious that their eyes would bleed. They would join hands to kill him without a second word, killing him again and again until he was smashed into pieces. What kind of person was this? He was too insatiable. At this moment, the number of strange fish cores that Yunyang had extracted from his space had exceeded 200,000. There were also close to 5,000 of them. Chapter 1289. With a shake of his body, Yunyang turned into a demon fox once more. Furthermore, the appearance of the incarnation this time was not that of an old and frail violet, nor was it the glorious appearance of the fake fox crown prince. Instead, it was a glossy white fox with a handsome fox head and a large snow-white tail behind it. The tail was tucked into its robe as it swaggered over. After walking for several hundred miles, there was a long cry in the air. A few goshawks circled above their heads, and in the next moment, the wind whistled. The eagles swooped down at the same time. The white fox below. Stop right there. I have the eagle's soul grass. Yin Yang was fearless in the face of the eagles as he shouted loudly. His voice reverberated in all directions and could be heard clearly from hundreds of miles away. As this voice rang out, the sky exploded with a boom, and the entire world was thrown into chaos. You have the eagle's soul grass with you? Countless eagles surrounded Yin Yang, the white fox. They glared at him without blinking as if they had gone mad. The eagle's soul grass. This kind of spirit grass was an extremely special medicinal herb. It was completely useless to humans, and it was also useless to any demon clan other than the Eagle clan. Even the Flying clan was completely useless. It was only useful to the Eagle clan. If a mother eagle consumed it while she was pregnant, the potential of the baby eagle in her womb would increase tremendously. Its cultivation talent would not be mediocre. If the baby eagle consumed it, not only could it improve its vision and flying ability, it could also improve the strength of its bones. If an adult eagle consumed it, not only would it improve its foundation, it could also heal internal injuries. In other words, as long as there was enough eagle's soul grass, the Eagle clan could produce a large number of ace experts. Therefore, the eagle's soul grass was a priceless treasure to the Eagle clan. An unparalleled treasure. It was just that the eagle's soul grass had not appeared for hundreds of thousands of years in the Eagle clan's territory, the Eagle's soul plain. There was no other reason, but there were too many eagles here. The Eagle clan was known for their sharp eyes and flying speed. No matter where the eagle's soul grass grew, it could be easily found. Therefore, the eagle's soul grass became rarer and rarer, unable to survive for long. Ever since the grass function was discovered, it was consumed not long after. Other than a few in the Eagle Imperial Palace, there wasn't a single one in other places. There was a rumor among the Eagle tribe that in a few hundred years, when the eagle's soul grass in the Eagle Palace was used up, this grass would disappear from the world. It was just that this kind of strange grass was absolutely rare in the eagle race or the demon race, but it could still be found in other places. For example, the Tian Fa Holy Lands. The Tian Fa Holy Lands also had eagle-type Xian beasts, and the eagle's soul grass was also effective on them. Tian Fa Holy Lands was filled with spirit herbs, so it was not difficult to gather some eagle's soul grass. Their situation was far better than the demon realm's eagle race. Of course, the eagle's soul grass was also a strategic resource for the eagle-type mystical beasts in Tian Fa Holy Land, so it could not be given to Yin Yang. However, Yin Yang had Emmy, a cheating cheat, so he did not need a lot of it. With a mother plant in hand, he could produce countless of them. For the trip to the Eagle clan, Yin Yang had naturally come prepared. He had already asked Emmy to produce quite a number of them. Everything was like the prophecy. Sure enough, upon hearing the name of the eagle's soul grass, all the eagle demons flocked over. As long as it was a member of the eagle race, who wouldn't know of the eagle's soul grass? That was a legendary item of fantasy. Their eyes were all green with envy. How many years had it been? An item like the eagle's soul grass that only existed in the legends had come today, and the main product of his business was the eagle's soul grass. The entire eagle race was in an uproar. Other than their covetous gazes, many eagle demons even had the intention to snatch it. After all, a transaction required a bargaining chip. How could it be as convenient as snatching it directly and reaping it without any effort? Yin Yang's 8 fox tails flickered at the right time, the domineering aura of a saint venerable emanating from him, intimidating everyone present. He had no choice but to do this. If he still did not reveal his ability, he might be targeted by some of the eagle race who wanted to take the risk, once he counterattacked and caused death or injury, it would definitely affect the established strategy. He had to avoid it. A domineering aura exuded from him. Countless eagles chirped and scattered swiftly, landing in front of Yun Yang in a swarm. 99% of the eagle race that had gathered here were low-level eagle race. The strongest cultivation base was only at the level of honor. However, there were so many of them that they formed a dense black mass. Goshawks, golden eagles, mystical eagles, and all sorts of falcons, all of the eagle race and falcon demons were staring at the white fox. There was doubt, there was excitement, but more than anything else, there was hope. If this white fox really had the eagle's soul grass, that would be great. You have the eagle's soul grass? Let me see. Yes, let me see. Don't come to our eagle race and boast like this. Be careful, we'll swarm you and eat you up. I haven't eaten a fox for a long time, me too, hiss. Saliva dripped. Is fox meat that delicious? It's very coquettish, I've eaten it before. Another golden eagle said in disdain. It's all right. A fox with a cultivation base isn't so coquettish anymore, how do you know? Coquettish foxes, this has been the consensus for so many years. If it's not coquettish, can it still be a fox? The old saying is true, but it seems like white foxes aren't coquettish, especially male foxes. Pfft. Let me tell you. Everyone, we're not discussing whether a fox is coquettish or not here. We want the eagle's soul grass. A golden eagle was exasperated. You've gone off topic. Yes, eagle's soul grass, hand it over quickly. Yun Yang looked at the countless mouths of the eagle race in front of him, chattering away. He could not hear what they were saying at once, his head was spinning from the noise. It was only at this moment that Yun Yang changed his opinion of the eagle race. The legendary arrogant eagle, the lonely eagle, the killer eagle, the sharp eagle, looking at the anti-eagles in front of him, it was as if they were haggling in a market, their wings drooped as if they were the generals of a defeated army, the shrew eagles that were flapping their wings in the heat of the argument. Yun Yang felt his worldview crumble, speechless for a moment. Eagle's soul grass, coquettish fox, coquettish. Yun Yang felt like his head was about to split open. He could not help but roar, have the eagle race never done business? Haven't you ever bought anything? Are there any decent eagles here? Come out and speak properly or your father is leaving. What a mess. What the hell was all this? The disdain in Yun Yang's words was clear and the last sentence was aimed straight at the eagle's weakness. Countless eagles suddenly stopped moving and stopped talking. Each of them squinted their eyes and looked coldly at the audacious white fox. You're actually mocking the eagle race's lack of knowledge in the base camp of the eagle race? Who gave you the guts? I'm so tired. I've wanted to say for the umpteenth time today, my house is out. But I didn't say it in the end. Hold on a little longer. Chapter 1290. The white fox was still standing proudly, coldly looking at the eagle race. With your messy behavior today, it's hard for me to feel any respect for you. The so-called number one flying race of the monster race, the strongest race in terms of battle strength, is it all like this? Pfft. A golden eagle howled angrily. Fox, what did you say? Say it again. Say it again if you have the guts. So what if I say it 10 times? Aren't you the ones who are in a mess? Yun Yang smiled in disdain. Since I've come here and even mentioned the eagle's soul grass directly, of course, I'm here with sincerity to carry out the transaction. Aren't you the ones who are making a ruckus now? The truth is right in front of you, can't I say what you've done? The item is mine, I don't want to do business anymore, can't I leave? Countless eagles flushed red, but there were others who felt that their pride had been damaged as well. All of them were fuming with rage. Even if we, the eagle clan, are in the wrong, it's not something that a coquettish fox like you can say. Besides, you want to leave after taking out such a good item? Of course you can't leave. Fox, apologize. A mystical eagle bellowed. Following this angry shout, it immediately attracted countless responses. Fox, apologize. Apologize, Fox. Apologize quickly, Fox. You Fox, hurry up and apologize. The Eagle clan is said to be full of demonic talents. I didn't expect you to be so fragile. Yin Yang laughed. All of you are so fragile, starting to pester me when I've touched your sore spot. Not only can you not face your own mistakes, you even want me to apologize. I've seen it all. If so, it doesn't matter if I don't sell the Eagle's soul grass. Why should I help you all to improve your abilities? Ha! Yin Yang guffawed. With a flip of his wrist, a bunch of flame-like plants appeared in his hand. There were dozens of them, with crimson fruits growing on them and tender roots dangling from the bottom. However, the most eye-catching part was the flower that looked like it was burning in flames. The flower was like a soaring eagle spreading its wings. Looking at its appearance, what else could it be if not the almost extinct eagle's soul grass? A priceless treasure of the eagle race that was on the verge of extinction. The white fox raised its hand and gathered a strong demonic energy. It fiercely slammed the eagle's soul grass in its hand and shouted, I'm not selling it anymore. It's broken and no demonic energy will be left unscathed. Wait. Stop. Slow down. No. A golden eagle flew over and held Yun Yang's hand. Calm down. Calm down, calm down. There's room for discussion. There's room for discussion. As he spoke, he squeezed out a smile with difficulty. Wasn't this fellow's temper a little too violent? The eagle's soul grass is only useful to the demons of the Eagle clan. We just want to slightly suppress you and take the initiative in bargaining later. Even if the eagle's soul grass is useless to you, you don't have to destroy it just because you don't like it. He was simply inhumane. Yin Yang narrowed his eyes and snorted, saying, I'm the one who doesn't want to do business with you now. Can't I destroy my things? Don't tell me you want me to let you snatch it. What's the point of keeping something useless? No. Thousands of eagles shouted together, we'll buy it. We'll buy it. We'll buy as much as you have. The voices were in unison. The eagle's soul grass was too important, it must not be destroyed. Not even a single flower or leaf could be damaged. This was something that had been deeply rooted in the hearts of all the demons of the Eagle clan. Yin Yang snorted and rolled his eyes, saying faintly, refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. You want me to apologize? Are you all blind? Don't you know that we, the Fox clan, are best at capturing our target's psychology? Once he said that, the Eagle clan's fur bristled in anger. They wished they could catch this despicable fox and beat him up, snatching all the eagle's soul grass in his possession. This bastard fox. However, the reality was that the eagle's soul grass was in his hands. They were like meat on the chopping block. There was really nothing they could do about it. Furthermore, this white fox was an extremely shrewd character. Although it was pretentious to want to destroy it just because of a disagreement, it was enough to make the demons of the Eagle clan cautious and not act recklessly. It was normal for the Fox clan to have some brains, and it was also normal for them to be good at capturing their target's psychology, but how could their cultivation base be so strong? Those 8 tails had already explained a lot of things. The Eagle clan escorted Yun Yang to a big tree nearby to sit down, officially forming the negotiation. Then, a demon falcon brought over a wide bear skin and laid it on the ground. His meaning was obvious, since they had decided to trade, put the eagle's soul grass on the bear skin. How much did Liang Liang have? Yin Yang rolled his eyes. Do you think I'm stupid? If I really put the eagle's soul grass on the bear skin, wouldn't it be snatched away instantly? All the members of the eagle race felt embarrassed. These words really hit the nail on the head. May I ask, how do you intend to trade? How much is one stalk of eagle's soul grass worth? A golden eagle swayed and turned into a golden-clothed silhouette, its hooked nose exceptionally large. Yin Yang looked at it. No wonder the Eagle clan was so good at dealing with fish. Just this nose alone could be used to fish. It's free. Yin Yang rolled his eyes. For free. Thank you for your generosity. What you're doing is a demonstration of the sincere friendship between your noble clan and my clan. Coercion. You can't snatch it openly, but you're taking advantage of it now. How dare you say, for free? You don't look like much, but you're dreaming. You, what about me? Should I be taken advantage of by the Eagle clan? What is that? What kind of treasure is the Eagle's soul grass? It can actually be bought and sold with money. Of course, it's an exchange. Yin Yang said, you can trade whatever valuable heaven and earth resources you have. Everyone will appraise it together then. A reasonable price can be used to exchange for the Eagle's soul grass. The Eagle race beings pondered for a moment before agreeing. This method did not seem to be too disadvantageous. After all, there were so many of their clansmen here, they could at least help to lower the price. A golden eagle asked cautiously, how many Eagle's soul grass do you have? Quite a lot, right? The Eagle clan's ears perked up. This was a crucial question. If the quantity was not large, it would definitely cause the transaction price to skyrocket. A rare item like the Eagle's soul grass would not be merciful even among their clansmen. It's not easy for me to come here. If I don't have a sufficient reserve, why would I come all the way here? It wouldn't even be enough for a trip. Yin Yang said lazily, tens of thousands of them, there's bound to be. Tens of thousands of them. All the Eagle clan's eyes turned green upon hearing this. I've read the preface today. Chapter 399 seems to have been left out, so I've added 1,000 words to it. It had to be said that blindly pursuing explosive speed would really cause a lot of content to be left out when one was writing. Especially when one was writing happily, waking up to go to the toilet and coming back to continue writing, one would actually miss out a paragraph. Everyone can go back and look at Chapter 399, the revised and added ones will still be at the original price, no extra charge. Chapter 1291. The Golden Eagle frowned, looking at the other clansmen who were still rushing over from afar. He could not help chuckling bitterly and said, tens of thousands of them are quite a lot, but it's still not enough. There are too many wolves and not enough meat, there are too many eagles and not enough grass. Yin Yang looked up and could not help the corners of his lips twitching. Although he had expected that the appearance of the Eagle's soul grass would cause a commotion, he did not expect it to be so huge. Those who were rushing over, those who were on the way and could be seen with his eyes, were already more than 100,000. Not to mention those who had just moved, those who had not moved, and those whom he had never heard of. Tens of thousands of Eagle's soul grass was not a small number, but compared to the massive population of the Eagle clan, it was really not much. However, this was not a problem to Yin Yang. Emmy, hurry up and grow more Eagle's soul grass. I don't need the best quality ones, just the average ones will do. What I want now is quantity, not quality. Emmy knew that the situation was urgent, so it agreed and went to work obediently. Following a loud rumble, the Eagle clansmen that were originally gathered here all took to the air and rushed out. Clearly, they were rushing back to their own nests to retrieve the heavenly resources. They had to be fast. There were too many eagles and too little meat. If they were slow, they would definitely not get their turn. Another flock of eagles flew over hurriedly, but after a short pause, they spread their wings and flew away. Another group flew over, and just like before, they flew away as if their butts were on fire. Then another flock. Finally, the main troop of the Eagle clan arrived. An extremely large flock of eagles covered the entire sky. There were at least hundreds of thousands of eagles in this flock. They did not even wait to come down this time, flying away directly and spreading word of mouth that they did not need to come down anymore. Every bit of time was important and precious now. Perhaps the slightest difference in time would cause them to be unable to exchange for the Eagle's soul grass. There were also those who came one after another, and those who rushed over for the second time after obtaining the heaven and earth treasures. However, such a beautiful prospect made Yin Yang suck in a cold breath. I can see that there are already more than 1 million of them now. The further they come, the higher their cultivation base. Isn't the eagle clan widely known to have the weakest reproductive ability among the flying mystical beasts? Why are there so many of them? No, up until now, the true upper echelons of the eagle clan have yet to appear. Even the eagle's soul grass isn't enough for them to come personally. Yun Yang was anxious. If the higher-ups of the eagle tribe or the royalty did not show up, he might have to adjust his plan. After a while, the first batch of eagle race members arrived with their life's treasures. How many eagle soul herbs can this eagle head ginseng be exchanged for? A black eagle came over with a face full of smiles. This is a 5,000-year-old eagle head ginseng, a top-grade heavenly treasure. Not even one stalk. Yun Yang rolled his eyes coldly. The few golden eagles behind him roared with laughter as well. Obviously, they'd already expected this, yet they were also ridiculing the black eagles for overestimating themselves. What? The black eagle was furious. A 5,000-year-old eaglehead ginseng can't even be exchanged for a single eagle soul grass. Are you kidding me? The eaglehead ginseng is an exclusive treasure of the eagle clan. It's worth a fortune, and a 5,000-year-old eaglehead ginseng is even rarer. However, the situation now is unique. Firstly, my eagle soul grass is top grade and can't be compared to the average eagle soul grass. Your eaglehead ginseng is already inferior. Yun Yang raised his head. Besides, you didn't see it, the commotion is too big now. There are too many people from the eagle clan who want to trade. It's inevitable that the supply will exceed the demand. It won't be long before the eagle palace comes. They won't let too much eagle soul grass in my hands flow into the market. I believe that I won't be able to sell it to you even if I wanted to then. No matter how you look at it, your eaglehead ginseng isn't enough. Wow, even a 5,000-year-old eaglehead ginseng is inferior. I can't even get one stalk. The surrounding eagle clan members were speechless. We admit that your eagle's soul grass is of top-grade quality. Otherwise, we wouldn't have come back so soon and even offered a 5,000-year-old eaglehead ginseng as a test. However, is it really appropriate for you to set such a high price? However, every word of this white fox was reasonable. The rarer something was, the greater its value. It had always been so. Furthermore, his eagle's soul grass was of top-grade quality, beyond imagination. Once the royals found out about this, not even a single seed would be left, let alone such a high-grade eagle's soul grass. When that time came, he would be utterly disappointed. He had entered a treasure mountain and returned empty-handed. It was as if a pie had fallen from the sky and he had missed it. I have 10 stalks of eaglehead ginseng here, each of them at least 5,000 years old. There's also the eagle stream fruit, the eagle vermilion fruit, and all of them in total for 10 stalks. What do you think? I can't get 10 stalks. I can give you 8 stalks at most. Believe me, you're the first to trade. This is a preferential price. 8 stalks? Can you give me one more? The Black Eagle was indignant and wanted to continue pestering Yun Yang, but the Eagle clan members behind him were already roaring in unison, faster. You're wasting so much time, what if the royals come? Helpless, the Black Eagle could only hand over the heaven and earth treasures that could be exchanged for 20 stalks of eagle's soul grass at the market price, and exchanged for 8 stalks of eagle's soul grass. When he walked out of the group of eagles, he felt like crying. He was hoping that his fellow Eagle clan members would help him lower the price, but in the end, they simply wished that he could not buy it. Looking at the expressions of the other Eagle clan members, if he could not even exchange for a single stalk of eagle's soul grass, then that would be what they wanted. A bunch of unscrupulous people. To actually encourage a fox to get rich. He cursed in his heart. But looking at the eagle's soul grass, the more he looked at it, the more he felt that the quality of the eagle's soul grass was indeed high. It was so high that it had never been seen before, and its effects must be exceptionally high as well. It was worth it, worth it. I have 30,000 years old good stuff here. I can always exchange for 2 stalks, it was another iron eagle. No, I can only exchange for one. At most, the highest quality goods are not ordinary. Alright, I'll exchange. I have this, 2 stalks, the quality is not bad, I can exchange for 2 stalks, do you want to exchange? I have this, a large piece, I have the most. 5 stalks, these can be exchanged for a total of 5 stalks. If you think it's not worth it, wait until next time. And this one, the great purchase had begun. Later on, the atmosphere grew more intense, and there was no longer a proper price. As time passed, time grew more urgent, and the Eagle clan members grew increasingly anxious. The prices were getting higher and higher, and the Eagle clan members were getting more and more desperate. In the beginning, they were aiming to exchange for 10 stalks of Eagle's soul grass, but now, it was already Yun Yang's mercy to be able to exchange for 2 stalks. All the Eagle clan members were cursing and swearing, but they still had to hold their noses and exchange. There was only one of them. Chapter 1292. Too expensive. Too black-hearted. I exchanged the same resource for 12 stalks just now, why are you only giving me 2 stalks? Fox, do you want to die? How dare you lower my price like this? The crowd was in an uproar. His curses pierced through the clouds. Yin Yang turned a deaf ear to them. He responded with one sentence, if you want to trade, then trade. If you don't, scram. There were also countless eagles cursing from the periphery, King Hell. Hurry up. Your father has been waiting for an hour. Are you all going to drag your feet? It's good enough that you can trade for 2 stalks with your trash, leave more for your father. Don't run out. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry, hurry, hurry. What are you waiting for? It's not my turn yet, who the CK is inside now? I want to eat it. Hurry, my little ones are waiting with their necks stretched out. I have a lot of good stuff, leave some for me, Fox, hurry, hurry. King scram when you're done, vulgar language, curses, and screams filled this area. The entire place had already become an occasion for collective cursing on the street. Some cursed the fox, some cursed their own clansmen, some cursed the heavens and the earth. Yun Yang was unhurried, receiving the goods and handing over the stalks. The eagles watched with bloodshot eyes. This white fox was too calm, wasn't he? Wasn't he a bastard? Besides, they could not rush him. Once they did, he would stop the transaction and settle the score again. This was infuriating the eagles to death. There were eagles begging from behind, I beg you, let me cut the queue, it's all for my child's future. My little eagle's aptitude isn't that good, another eagle retorted, scram. I'm in a hurry. Your family's aptitude isn't that good, why are you in a hurry? My child is a genius, with this exquisite eagle's soul grass, it's enough for him to improve further and become a supreme saint. Whoa, it's my turn, whoa, poof. A kick came, bastard, it's your turn, why aren't you going? King whoa. 4 hours later, Yun Yang had exchanged more than 10,000 stalks of eagle's soul grass. This was the result of Yun Yang's deliberate delay, but the number of eagles that were rushing over from all directions only increased, gathering in greater numbers. At this moment, a deep voice rang out, excuse me, I'll change some first, then you can change. Immediately, an eagle scolded, why? You think you're the boss? What right do you have to go first? The eagle who spoke was immediately dragged out. Lying slapped that fellow's head until it was crooked. That thick voice rang out once again, and his words were filled with indifference, I'm the boss. What happened? In an instant, the surroundings were deathly silent. With a soft whooshing sound, a path appeared. Yin Yang took a look and saw that it was a Supreme Saint Golden Eagle. It walked in with a majestic gait and opened a spatial ring without a word, pouring out the heaven and earth treasures inside like a tidal wave. They were the size of a small hill. How much can these be exchanged for? Yin Yang had only taken a quick glance, but he could not help feeling dizzy. Holy shit. Lying was a tycoon. The heaven and earth treasures he had given out were no less than a few thousand stocks, and there was no lack of superb quality among them. Yin Yang made a simple estimation and said, "These of yours are worth a lot, but my eagle's soul grass is superb as well. I can only exchange for 1,000 stocks at most." In reality, Yin Yang would not pay even if he had to exchange for 10,000 stocks if he were to exchange for 1,000 stocks. Putting aside the fact that the eagle's soul grass that Yin Yang had given out was only superb in appearance and had ordinary effects, the eagle's soul grass could be obtained with a wave of Emmy's hand. The real superb quality could be easily obtained as well. Leaving aside the eagle clan, the eagle's soul grass was just grass to Yin Yang, a useless weed. The eagle Saint Venerable naturally knew that the white fox was driving down the price, but he did not say anything. His eyes narrowed as he said, "It is indeed superb eagle's soul grass. 1,000 stocks it is, 1,000 stocks it is. The deal is done." Yin Yang was forthright this time. He kept the items and swiftly lit 1,000 stocks, handing them over. The eagle Saint Venerable kept the eagle's soul grass but did not leave immediately. He turned to the rest of the eagles and said, "Those of you who haven't exchanged yet, as long as you agree to give me 10% of the eagle's soul grass you exchange for, I'll wait above the mountain pass. When the royal envoy arrives, I'll think of a way to stop them for 2 hours. How about that?" The eagles looked at the long queue in front of them and did not know how long they would have to wait for their turn. They nodded immediately and said, "Thank you for your trouble, all right. It's a deal. Those who come later must give me at least 1 stock." The Saint Venerable Golden Eagle rose from the ground and soared into the sky, heading towards the mountain pass in the distance. Yin Yang, who was busy collecting the heaven and earth treasures inside, felt the corners of his lips twitch. *CK, there was actually such a thing. Where was the eagle's quality, integrity, sense of right and wrong, and race's honor? Was this a protection fee or a scalper? This fellow's brain was pretty good. It was not that there were no Saint Venerables who had come to trade before, and the number of transactions was even higher than this demon's. However, they did not have such a nimble mind, so their gains would most likely not be as good as his. Wave after wave, wave after wave, and wave after wave. Countless members of the eagle race charged forward. Every trader's movements became extremely fast, because every eagle knew that the royal family was about to arrive. Time was of the essence, so they had to settle everything as soon as possible. The eagle's soul grass was definitely a strategic resource of the eagle race, so it should be under the full control of the royal family. All of the eagle race knew this very well. However, any intelligent life form would have their own selfish desires. It was good that the royal family was in charge of it, but if it was all taken away by the royal family, the only outcome would be that they would never have the chance to enjoy the eagle's soul grass, much less their children. The demon race would only have status when they were powerful. More than 99% of the ordinary eagle race would not have any hope in this lifetime if they did not have a corresponding opportunity. The eagle's soul grass was an opportunity that could not be missed. In reality, most of the people from the eagle tribe who came to trade today were not for themselves, but for their children to consume. Only when their children were strong and had a solid foundation could they have the chance to become stronger in the future. Only then would they have the day to stand out and have the glory of a rising family. If they gave up and missed this opportunity, perhaps there would be no hope for many years to come. It was even more hopeless to hope that their mediocre selves could give birth to experts with powerful bloodlines. Therefore, even though they knew that what they were doing was wrong and not in line with the best interests of the entire race, they had to fight for what was rightfully theirs. Even if they did not deserve it, they had to fight for it with all their might. The path forward was all about the results. The process and so on were just minor details. From afar, there was a faint but powerful aura approaching. That was the royal family making a move. Chapter 1293. The demons of the Eagle clan grew even more frenzied as they traded even faster. Quick, 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 the royal family is coming, mine, this is mine. In the end, no one said anything like, the royal family is coming anymore. All the noise slowly disappeared. Only silence was left. They moved even faster. All the actions were carried out in silence. All the Eagle clan members who were still waiting were sweating profusely, their gazes anxious. Only Yun Yang was unhurried and unhurried. He was still the same as before, looking like he was asking for a beating. The arrival of the royal family was the beginning of his real goal. Exchanging for the heaven and earth resources of the Eagle clan now was also his fixed goal. No one would ever complain about having too many heaven and earth resources. In Yin Yang's deific consciousness space, acres upon acres of heaven and earth resources were spreading far away while acres upon acres of Eagle's soul grass were growing and being sprouted as well. The new surge of air of vitality had almost dyed the deific consciousness space into a green ocean. Even the air in the air was in a green and viscous state. Drizzles fell continuously, sprinkling on the heaven and earth resources and the Eagle's soul grass. All the heaven and earth resources and Eagle's soul grass were growing at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. The source of this growth was the heaven and earth resources that had been sent into the deific consciousness. As they were sent in continuously, the scale was growing, replenishing the new air of vitality. At the mountain pass, the Supreme Saint Golden Eagle kept his promise. He soared up and turned into his original form of 10,000 feet, covering half of the sky as his voice rang out, "Emissaries, where are you going?" In front of him, a few golden eagles that were glowing in gold did not stop. "Golden Eagle 19, we know what you want to do. Seeing that we have known each other for a long time, I advise you to make way quickly. This is a serious matter and has already alerted our emperor. If he is enraged, your tens of thousands of years of cultivation base will be destroyed in a day. It's too late to regret." Eagle 19 smiled faintly. "It's just a meeting between old friends and a greeting. Do you have to be so serious? Eagle Soul, you've become more and more indifferent these years. I've always heard that those with high positions and authority are fickle. I didn't believe it at first, but I can't believe it now." 8 golden eagles rushed over with medicine, but they were blocked by Eagle 19. Lying was fearful of Eagle 19's tyrannical strength and didn't want to fight him head-on, so he couldn't help but be in a deadlock. "Eagle 19, are you really going to rebel?" "Hey, Eagle Soul. That's no fun for you. When you were chosen to join the Imperial Guards, all of us held a feast to celebrate you. Do you still remember that day? We were all drunk." Eagle 19 sighed and said, "Eagle Soul. We are brothers from a small tribe. After so many years, there aren't many people left. Your cold words really make me feel cold." Eagle Soul was enraged, and his face turned red. "Eagle 19, are you going to move or not?" His voice and countenance were already severe. Eagle 19's face was full of disappointment and pain as he said, "Eagle Soul, you really have changed. The other brothers were right, you have changed. You're no longer the Eagle Soul you used to be. You're no longer the brother you used to be." He let out a long sigh, and then his voice became severe, and his face became cold. "Eagle Soul, what do you want to do? Are you going to act against your old brothers? Sure enough, you've become a big official, rich, and used to being in a high position. You no longer put your old brothers in your eyes." Eagle Soul was so angry that he vomited blood. You what? You're an official now, rich, and even more powerful, so naturally you can speak harshly to your old brothers. Eagle Soul, you've changed. You're no longer the good brother we used to be, you've changed. You've become so strange. He said bitterly, "Eagle Soul, this power, this official position, is it really that important to you? Do you remember that when you were young, you borrowed 3 Saint Yuan coins from me? It's been so many years, 40 or 50,000 years, and you still haven't returned it to me. I didn't ask you for it either, right? Just because I treat you as a brother, of course my money is your money. Eagle's soul was so angry that he was speechless. Eagle's soul. Is this a tacit agreement? But you can probably calculate how much 3 St. Yuan coins would be worth 40 to 50,000 years ago, given that prices had skyrocketed for 40 to 50,000 years. Eagle's soul, that's an astronomical figure. I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to afford it even if you sold your entire family. But when did I ask you for it? But you're so heartless and cold-hearted. How can you be worthy of a brother's sincerity? Eagle's soul was so angry that his eyeballs almost popped out. He said word by word, Eagle. 10. 9. Eagle 19 looked up at the sky and sighed. You've changed. You used to call me Brother 19. My voice is still ringing in my ears, but you're already far away, you. My brother is your mother's chicken. Move aside. You dare scold me? Eagle's soul, you dare scold me? Not only did you scold me, but you also scolded my mother? Do you remember that when you were young, my mother gave you a wild vegetable pancake when you didn't have anything to eat? At that time, my family ran out of food. Do you still remember? My mother saved your life, and that's a great kindness. Now, you actually dare to scold her? Are you still a demon? Eagle 19 was furious. Eagle's soul, where's your conscience? Eagle's soul took deep breaths and didn't speak anymore. After a long time, he finally calmed down and shouted, Take him down. Eagle 19 laughed in grief and indignation. Eagle's soul. You ingrate. You're a lunatic. You're heartless, shameless. A torrent of curses poured out of his mouth. You've changed. You've become so strange, so cold. You've changed, and as your brother, my heart hurts so much. Eagle's soul just kept shouting, Take him down. Take him down. Finally, the 8 royal envoys attacked at the same time, targeting Eagle 19. Eagle 19 flapped his wings and flew, shouting in grief and indignation, You've changed. You've changed. Where's my brother? Give me back my brother Eagle's soul. Give me back my brother. My brother Eagle's soul's face turned purple, and he spat out a mouthful of blood in the air. His entire body was shaking, and he felt like all the blood in his body was rushing to his head. At this moment, his head was so angry that it almost exploded. Huff huff huff. He panted heavily. I'm so angry. I'm so angry, huff huff, huff huff. Commander. We have to hurry over. Huff huff. Right, huff huff, go. As he walked, Eagle's soul spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood, and he was so angry that his mouth was twisted. How many days has it been? Why is a week so long? How many days has it been, everyone? Amp, GT. Chapter 1294. The eagle's soul was infuriated. It was true that he was the only one with a bright future among the brothers back then, but coming from Eagle Ninth Heaven's mouth, he was going to die from anger. When did I change? How am I not who I used to be? How am I ungrateful? This Eagle 19 was clearly a scoundrel, speaking irresponsibly and spouting nonsense. However, the delay was truly delayed by Eagle 19 for 2 hours, and there was still time to spare. Even when he was above the white fox's stall selling Eagle's soul grass, the eagle's soul was still dizzy, his eyes and mouth slanted. He wanted to stop the sale immediately, but once he tried to circulate his chi, he felt dizzy, his blood rushing to his head. He managed to calm his blood and chi and recover before he finally hollered, His Majesty has ordered. Stop the sale of Eagle's soul grass. Bring the sellers into the palace. His voice boomed like a thunderclap. However, the crowd was still in a frenzy as the purchase was still in full swing. There were signs of it growing in intensity, like a final frenzy. It's finally my turn. I'll leave my treasures here, give me a few, any few, I've left mine here too. Just give me 3 or 5. Mine too, this is mine, 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 swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this point, it was no longer 1 or 2 individuals who were tossing the treasures of heaven and earth. Instead, it was a large group of eagles who were fighting to be the first to throw them out. In an instant, the sea of treasures of heaven and earth had buried Yun Yang. At this moment, a golden light shone in the air, dazzling the world. Rays of light shot down and set up special restrictions in the surroundings, isolating all of the Eagle clan members, leaving only the white fox in the center. Behead those who disobey. The order was executed as all the eagles were forcefully banished to the periphery. White fox. Do you dare disobey my majesty's order? The eagle's soul hollered. Yun Yang looked troubled. Of course I dare not disobey Eagle Emperor's order. Follow me immediately if you dare not. No, it's one thing that I dare not disobey Eagle Emperor's order, but these treasures have already been tossed here. Yun Yang said awkwardly. Yun Yang said awkwardly, the deal has already been established. No matter what, I have to deal with this batch before I can talk about the follow-up. As soon as these words came out, the entire crowd went into an uproar. The scene of the Eagle Emperor token suddenly appeared, and all the Eagle clan members thought that their heavenly materials and earthly treasures were going to go down the drain, but they never thought that there would be such a twist. The Eagle's soul said coldly, besides that, if there's another one, then just wait for death. If it were not for Yun Yang's last words, the Eagle's soul would have taken Yun Yang away immediately. However, Yun Yang's words were reasonable. If he were to reject it outright, it would definitely incur the wrath of the masses. This would not affect the Eagle's sovereign, but it would be extremely disadvantageous to his own people. He could only compromise. No matter how cold his words were and how stern his expression was, he still compromised. Yes, yes, I don't dare. Yun Yang quickly took out a bunch of Eagle's soul grass that looked like they were of the finest grade and kept the heaven and earth treasures, saying apologetically, I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't have the time to look at the valuation. How about we split it evenly among all of you 5 stalks each? The Eagle's soul said angrily, faster. Seeing the Eagle's soul grass that Yun Yang had taken out had further agitated the Eagle's soul. It was already a grave sin for so many Eagle's soul grass to flow into the common people. However, there was no way to stop the situation. Once it was forcefully stopped, it might even incite a riot. No matter how indignant the Eagle clan members were, they dared not turn against Yun Yang on the spot. Seeing that there was no need to go out of the pen to collect water, they said in unison, 5 stalks each is fine too. After the transaction was completed, Yun Yang kept the heaven and earth treasures. The matter had come to an end. Follow me back to the palace. The Emperor wants to see you. Little Fox is terrified, faster. 8 golden eagles carried Yun Yang, the little fox, as they flew into the distance. The place was filled with complaints. Those who had already exchanged for it were naturally overjoyed, unable to contain their joy. However, there were even more who came late and did not manage to exchange for it, sighing in regret. Everyone, according to the agreement, if the transaction is successful, each of you will get 1 stalk each. I've taken a huge risk just now. Eagle 19 returned, extending his hand with a smile. All the Eagle clan members present rolled their eyes. Did you really want it? However, Eagle 19's ability was not weak. Even if there were others with similar or higher cultivation base, they would not go against him for a stalk of Eagle's soul grass. Therefore, all of them pursed their lips and gave him 1 stalk for those who traded for more than 10 stalks. Eagle 19's hands were limp as he took in all the herbs. He had actually collected more than 3,000 stalks. Finally, he had become the other big winner of this transaction. This isn't right. Eagle 19 was puzzled. Didn't the white fox say that it's worth tens of thousands of stalks? These that he gave to me already take up about 1/10 of it. Based on this calculation, the transactions that were given to me as a commission would be at least more than 30,000 stalks. And those that were traded before me. Does this mean that the white fox has taken out more than 100,000 stalks of eagle soul grass for this transaction? Ah, isn't this too much? One of the golden eagles snorted. 100,000 stalks? It's far more than that. There are also those like you who traded for thousands of stalks. I think this white fox has traded for at least 300,000 stalks of eagle soul grass, and he probably has more on hand. Tisk. All the eagle clan members sucked in a cold breath. Isn't this white fox rich now? Many of the eagle clan's experts with high cultivation base were silent, deep in thought. If I can rob this white fox when he's on his way, won't I become as rich as a country? TSK. This is doable. On the other side, Eagle 19 sat down where Yun Yang had been sitting. He kept more than 1,000 of the 5,000 eagle's soul grass he had harvested, but only took out 4,000 and shouted loudly, selling the eagle's soul grass. I don't want the heaven and earth treasures, I only want money. There was another rush to buy it. What? Why are you selling it at such a high price? This price is a few times more expensive than the fox just now. Eagle 19, how can you be so black-hearted? Don't buy it if you think it's too expensive. No one is forcing you to buy it. Eagle 19 rolled his eyes. I've only gotten this little benefit after offending the royal guards just now. If I don't sell it at a higher price, I'll starve. The Eagle clan members were livid with rage. You've just taken the commission from us and now you want to sell it to us? Many of the Eagle clan members turned away in anger. Not buying it. However, there were still many who had not gotten their hands on the eagle's soul grass, surrounding Eagle 19 in an instant. Mine. Mine. I'll buy it, in the Eagle clan's palace. It was Yun Yang's first time meeting the Eagle Emperor, the top 3 of the Demon clan's 12 sovereigns. Chapter 1295. The Eagle Emperor's sharp eyes looked at the white fox at the bottom of the stairs, his voice indifferent. You're saying that you have the method to grow the eagle's soul grass. The effect is remarkable, and you plan to give this emperor the method to cultivate the eagle's soul grass? Yun Yang's face was filled with reverence as he said, it's a fortuitous encounter for little Foxy to obtain the cultivation method of the eagle's soul grass. This grass can only be used by eagles, so it's useless in little Foxy's hands. Why don't I offer it to your majesty and contribute to the Eagle clan? I only hope that your majesty will grant me a favor based on little Foxy's sincerity. It's enough for me to be grateful for the rest of my life. What kind of grace do you want? The Eagle Emperor's gaze grew sharper as if he could see through Yun Yang's heart. Hearing that the eagle's soul grass, a strategic weapon that could change the fate of the eagle tribe, could be obtained for free, he was still calm and poised. He was worthy of being the ruler of a tribe, someone who would not change his expression even if the heavens and earth collapsed in front of him. The Falcon Sovereign's aura was unusually strong and vast. As one of the 12 sovereigns under the Demon Sovereign and the Falcon Sovereign who was ranked 3rd, Yun Yang felt that this sovereign was much more powerful than the Fox Sovereign. He was almost the strongest person he had seen in the bound of universe. His eyes were so sharp that they seemed to be able to see through people's hearts. There seemed to be vortexes of stars spinning slowly in his eyes. When people looked into his eyes, they would almost be lost in the starry sky. It was a terrifying sight. Reporting to your majesty, the old fox's lifespan has reached its end, and the demonic energy in his body has already solidified. If he wants to take another step forward, it will be even more difficult than ascending to the heavens. The old fox that Yun Yang had transformed into began his performance once more. Solidify, a trace of understanding flashed through the eyes of the Eagle Emperor, and then he fell into deep thought. In the next moment, Yun Yang could clearly feel a wave of mental energy enveloping him entirely. Emmy operated immediately in the deific consciousness space, not daring to reveal any flaws. Fortunately, Emmy, the cheating cheat, was an existence that surpassed the knowledge of this world. Even an unparalleled powerhouse like the Falcon Emperor had to return in defeat, deceived. You are indeed past your prime. Your meridians have solidified, and your demonic energy has solidified. The Eagle Emperor muttered, if you don't break through, you will only have 3 years left at most. A bitter smile hung on Yun Yang's face. Your Majesty has a keen eye. This is what the old fox wishes for. What's your name? Old fox, white smile. White robe Shao. Not bad. Are you from the Nine-Tailed clan? Sigh, this old fox isn't a pure nine-tailed one, but a yellow-skinned nine-tailed one. Yin Yang's old, cunning face wore a pained expression. Yellow-skinned nine-tailed? Look at your white fur, if you didn't reveal it yourself, even this emperor would have misjudged you. The Eagle Emperor finally revealed a smile, then sighed, no wonder, yellow-skinned and nine-tailed, one high grade and one low grade, combining together is an ancient taboo that cannot tolerate bloodlines. And your appearance is white fur, which is a forbidden product of the forbidden. No wonder you're willing to go through so much trouble to beg this king, it's because the Fox clan experts won't help you. This was also obvious. If the experts of the Fox clan wanted to help, why would they need to come here? It's a pity that you've spent so much effort to find this emperor. It's a pity that I can't help you. The Eagle Emperor thought about it and said slowly, if it's just the depletion of your lifespan, it's still manageable. Whether it's the vitality pill or the spiritual herb that can prolong your life, it's not a problem. If that's all you want, you can do it yourself. As for your real problem, I believe you should know that it's the extreme backlash caused by the incompatibility of your bloodline. Unless time is reversed and space is reversed to send you back to your prime, then I can reconstruct your bloodline. Only then can the problem be completely solved. Not to mention that the Eagle clan doesn't have such a foundation. Even if we do, we won't perform it for you just for the cultivation method of the eagle's soul grass. Of course, this little fox understands this. If it's this request, this little fox would never dare ask. Yun Yang said gratefully, what this little fox wants isn't the heaven and earth underhanded technique. This little fox has another way to do it, but, please, Your Majesty, have mercy and promise me one thing. The Eagle Emperor pondered, his finger tapping lightly on the throne. What is it? Just say it. It's like this, with Senior's guidance, this little fox has come up with a method to forge a new path of survival. It requires the power of the bound of universe's celestial luck banner and Yin Yang said respectfully, although this method only has a 30% chance of success, this little fox still wants to try. This little fox knows that Your Majesty Eagle Emperor has imprisoned a large number of human cultivators here, so. A sharp glint shone in the Eagle Emperor's eyes as a domineering aura floated. This is the method that your nine-tailed emperor gave you, isn't it? The Eagle Emperor snorted and said angrily, this old fox, always scheming this and that behind my back. It's even better this time, he's plotting against me. Yin Yang dared not say anything. He dared not say yes or no, letting the Eagle Emperor guess for himself. Bastard old fox. The Eagle Emperor cursed and fell into deep thought. It was obvious that the eagle's soul grass was a strategic weapon to the Eagle clan. The Eagle Emperor was unwilling to give it up. Even though the white fox before him had violated his taboo, he was still hesitating. Your Majesty, this little fox only needs a month to not harm the human cultivators' lives. Just a month, whether it succeeds or not, it has to retreat from there. Even if it doesn't work, it won't dare to act recklessly. The large amount of heaven and earth resources that you've exchanged for previously, your plan is probably to operate there to increase the chances of success? Asked the Eagle Emperor. Yes. There are indeed considerations in this regard. If Your Majesty is kind and allows it, there will be many more heavenly treasures and earthly treasures. After Foxy enters, she will be able to reduce the loss of human warriors. She will be able to fuse her blood and meridians and blood together, and she will be reborn, Yun Yang said carefully. The Eagle Emperor nodded. It made sense now. When a human cultivator broke through, his power of providence would increase along with it. As long as the white fox extracted the power of the celestial luck banner from the target human with its arcane skill, it could fuse the blood and purify the forbidden bloodline, allowing the cultivator to be reborn and evolve. It was just that there were too many uncertainties and risks in this method. A month, the Eagle Emperor pondered for a long time and finally said slowly, "All right, I promise you." "Thank you, Your Majesty. However, you have to hand over the cultivation method of the eagle's soul grass first." "Of course." Yin Yang took out a booklet from his robe and some eagle's soul grass, placing them in front of the Eagle Emperor. "Your Majesty, this booklet contains the cultivation method of the eagle's soul grass that this little fox has researched. Remember the mobile version, Chapter 405, Promise." "I promise you." Page 1/1, bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 1296. The Eagle Emperor didn't flip through it. Instead, he waved his hand and told the servant to keep it. He was confident that this white fox demon would not dare to give him a fake one. He didn't have the guts. The Eagle Emperor stood up and said slowly, "White fox, there's one more thing that this emperor has to say. The reason why this emperor made an exception is because you've already reached the Saint Venerable realm, the peak combat strength of the demon clan. If you can break through the shackles and take another step forward, the overall combat strength of the demon clan will increase by another level. However, the cultivation method of the human celestial luck banner certainly has a considerable tempering effect on the demon clan, but the changes are unpredictable. His Majesty the Demon Emperor has been working on this for a long time, but the effect is still minimal. I believe the Fox Emperor has vaguely revealed this to you, so you should know the severity of this matter. As for breaking through the bloodline shackles of the demon clan with the help of the power of the celestial luck banner, it is unprecedented. I hope you are mentally prepared." Yin Yang said gratefully, "Yes, the senior who taught Foxy has also said so solemnly, but this is Foxy's last chance of survival. Whether it succeeds or not, it has to give it a shot." "That's good." The Eagle Monarch said, "This emperor will give you a month's time, but there's one more thing that needs to be said first." "Your Majesty, please speak." "After you go in, you can try to extract the power of the target human celestial luck banner with a secret technique, but you're not allowed to harm any human inside. If you want to go in, you have to transform into a human and be escorted inside. During this period, no demonic aura can be emitted." Foxy understands. If you succeed, I will form a good relationship with you. If you fail, I will give you a afterlife pill when you come out. It can ensure that your soul is not destroyed. Even if your body is destroyed, you still have a chance of reincarnating as a paragon of the eagle race. At that time, it is not impossible for us to grant you a high position in the Eagle clan. This can be considered as us repaying you for your research on the eagle's soul grass. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your great kindness. I am deeply grateful. Yin Yang pretended to be moved to tears and even changed the way he addressed himself as a small animal, no longer calling himself a member of the Fox clan. However, his heart was in turmoil. This Eagle Emperor was indeed graceful and magnanimous, fully displaying the aura of an emperor. However, just this breadth of mind and methods made him worthy of being an emperor of a generation. If she was really just a demonic fox, she would have already been subdued by the Eagle Emperor's aura and prostrated herself before him. Go. General Zhua, bring the Fox clans by Yixiao to the underground prison. Do not make any mistakes. Yes. 20 days later. Eagle clan's underground prison. Bai Yixiao of the Fox clan walked out with a solemn expression. How is it? The general of the left asked. It's a success, but it can also be said to be a failure. My condition has improved, but the effect is too little. It should be because the amount is too little. The white-robed fox had a face full of unwillingness. My bloodline solidified state has already begun to loosen. However, the number of humans here is limited, and there are even fewer experts among them. I can't touch their source, and under the premise that I'm not even the slightest hair on their bodies, It's like trying to put out a burning cart of firewood with a cup of water. It won't help the overall situation, and it's impossible for me to complete the bloodline fusion, much less make a complete breakthrough. The general of the left glared at him. Are you sure your bloodline solidification has improved? It's only loosened by less than 10%. Yin Yang heaved a long sigh. There are millions of human cultivators here, which should be the most in the Demon Emperor's realm, but there are too few experts among them, and the chi of the celestial luck banner that I can obtain is even less. I've tried many times, but the results are still insignificant. The time limit is almost up. The general of the left was speechless. They were all high-ranking officials, and they had been through so much. What kind of tricks had they not seen? This fox spirit clearly had other intentions. No matter what it was, he would just ignore it. When he met the Eagle Emperor and reported the situation, the white fox spirit began to complain again. There are too few humans here, the solidified bloodline has only loosened a little, it's far from reaching the level of improvement, it seems that this is the will of the heavens. No one can help me, the white fox continued to complain incessantly. A faint smile appeared in the Eagle Emperor's sharp eyes, it was a hint of mockery. Bai Xiao. This lowly creature is here. I've taken your eagle soul grass cultivation method. After trying it out recently, I've confirmed that it's rather effective. This is your credit. However, I've given you what you've asked for. As for the fact that the Eagle clan has imprisoned too few humans, there's nothing I can do about it. Other than us, the Demon Emperor, the Eagle clan has already imprisoned the most humans. If this place can't solve your problem, then it's really the will of the heavens. As for what you're thinking, wanting me to write a letter for you to go to another place of imprisonment and continue with this. I can't do that. The Eagle Emperor directly brought this matter to light. Yin Yang's fox face froze. The Eagle Emperor took 2 steps forward and said faintly, the Fox clan prioritizes scheming and cultivation base. Therefore, I don't think that you're disobedient, nor do I find it strange that you've plotted and acted so pretentiously. However, you're not allowed to fool around in front of me anymore. I can make the decision regarding the Eagle clan's imprisonment, I can bear any consequences. I'll repeat for the last time that your Eagle's soul grass and cultivation method is a great merit to the Eagle clan. That's why I've made an exception and given you the chance to enter the Forbidden Land. However, it's difficult for the other clans' imprisonment grounds to be set foot in. Even if my hand can stretch so far, I can't reach it. Do you understand? The Eagle Emperor stared at the white fox like the eyes of the universe. Little Fox understands. Thank you, Your Majesty. Yin Yang's face was filled with indescribable disappointment. Little Fox is being too wishful thinking. Yin Yang could not help but feel dejected. If the Eagle Emperor was willing to help, if he felt guilty for not getting enough in return for his eagle's soul grass, he could have saved a lot of effort by writing a letter to the other flying clans. However, the Eagle Emperor did not do so. How could Yin Yang not be disappointed? It's good that you understand. If there's nothing else, you may leave. The Eagle Emperor said faintly, Left General, give him a rebirth pill. Yes, Your Majesty. Walking out of the Eagle clan's palace, Yin Yang heaved a long sigh of relief. There was no other reason but the pressure that the Eagle Emperor had given him was too much. If it were not for Emmy's full support and all-encompassing shielding, the Eagle Emperor might have noticed his signs of transformation. The Eagle Emperor is a dangerous character indeed, second only to the Demon Emperor in the Demon clan. Yin Yang thought to himself, although it's not a complete success this time, the Eagle clan's soul-devouring tree has been destroyed. I should leave as soon as possible and go to the other flying clans to come up with a countermeasure. Where should I go? Where? Chapter 1297. Walking out of the Eagle clan's settlement, Yin Yang sprinted with all his might. It took him 2.5 days, but he still could not leave the Eagle clan's territory. Unsurprisingly, Yin Yang had been ambushed ever since he left the Eagle clan's imperial city. The Eagle clan's experts, especially the grassroots experts, had come to stop him. Any race, any living being, would not lack greed. Yin Yang had so many treasures on him, how could the Eagle clan not be tempted? Once he killed this white fox, it would be like ascending to the heavens in a single step. Although Yin Yang had revealed his Supreme Saint cultivation base before, the demon foxes were not known for their combat prowess in the demonic realm. There was also a rumor that the reason why this white fox had caused such a huge commotion was because of the abnormality of its body, making it difficult for it to unleash its full strength. Not only did the Supreme Saint experts see Yin Yang as a prey in the bag, the Royal Saint experts also formed groups of 3 to 5 to ambush him, sharing the risk. There were even a lot of Royal Saint Eagles who joined forces in a futile attempt to surround and attack Yin Yang, taking advantage of the situation. It was a pity that they had grossly underestimated Yin Yang's ability. Yin Yang had slaughtered his way through and killed all the Eagle clan's experts who came to kill him, without exception. Over 47,000 miles, he had been ambushed more than 70 times, but all of them had failed and were buried in foreign lands. This also added to Yin Yang's collection of 7 Supreme Saint Beast Cores, 7 Supreme Saint Eagle corpses, more than 50 Royal Saint Beast Cores, and more than 400 Royal Saint Beast Cores. Fighting and killing along the way, the Eagles killed the Eagles and the demons killed the demons. He killed until his eyes were bloodshot and his sleeves were golden. He continued the legend of the richest man in the bound of universe. He had crossed 2 great rivers in between, but these 2 rivers did not have the strange fish from the previous river. This disappointed Yin Yang greatly. Why were there no such adorable fish in other rivers? During this time, he had also seen the edge of the demonic soul sea of the demon clan, but Yin Yang did not dare enter that sea. In that river alone, there were already many golden fish that were strong enough to imprison his transformation. Then, how strong would the legendary demon clan's forbidden sea be? This was an unimaginably terrifying and insignificant risk. It was almost certain that those golden fish were not qualified to be the overlords of the sea. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stayed in the river for so long. The less trouble, the better. It's not that I'm afraid, it's just that my mission is urgent and I don't have time to deal with those fellows in the sea. Wait until I'm strong enough in the future, I'll definitely kill them all and take revenge for what happened that day. On this day, Yin Yang had finally left the Eagle clan's territory. He took out the demon clan's map and studied it carefully, planning his next move. Next, let's go to the Eagle tribe. Yin Yang looked at his current location. The Condor clan's settlement was not far from here, only 20,000 miles away. He thought back to the Golden Condor King he had met previously. At that time, he had felt that the Golden Condor King was incomparably powerful. Now, it seemed that the Golden Condor King was only at the Saint Venerable level. With such a cultivation base, if the Golden Condor King was of noble birth, he would be able to become a king in the Golden Condor race. However, he would not be ranked in the entire Condor race. The Eagle tribe was similar to the Eagle tribe in that there were many different species, but then again, the status of the Golden Condor King that he encountered that day would not be too low. It should be similar to the Crane clan's Sky Crown King. Can we make use of it? Yin Yang pondered. This fellow had been frightened by his purple jade flute back then. If he went to scare it again, would there be a better effect? As he thought about the feasibility of this plan, he did not slow down at all as he sped towards the Condor clan's territory. The Eagle clan's palace. Your Majesty, that white smile of the Fox clan is too vicious. General of the Left was furious as he rushed over in a huff. Oh. What's wrong? After that white fox left the palace, he swiftly left our clan's territory. However, on his way out, many from the Eagle clan came up with the idea of killing him and robbing him of his riches. Unexpectedly, this old fox's ability was beyond imagination. All those who stood in his way were killed by him, even their demonic cores were taken. General of the Left said angrily, "It's fine if he killed them. After all, it was his clansmen who robbed first, they deserved to die. However, it's fine if he killed them, but he destroyed their corpses and even took their demonic cores. This is too much. It's treacherous and goes against human morality. The Eagle Emperor's eyes were half-lidded as he said faintly, as long as a demon lives, the plants and trees are in autumn. Cultivators of our generation are either pursuing the Tao or seeking immortality. As a supreme saint cultivator, he has his own dignity. He doesn't have much time left and is struggling for his life. Yet, at such a time, there's a demon who wants to rob him of his riches. How is this any different from robbing him of his last chance of survival? How can he not seek revenge? If all of you were at the last moment of your lives, facing death, and encountered such a despicable act, would it become even worse? Would you still have more scruples? The Eagle Emperor waved his hand. There's nothing strange about this. Since he's already left our territory, let him be. General of the Left lowered his head. Yes. He then asked excitedly, Your Majesty, the eagle's soul grass, can it really be cultivated? A rare smile hung on the corners of the Eagle Emperor's lips. It can indeed be cultivated. Although the cultivation process is slightly slower, at least it can ensure that the eagle's soul grass won't go extinct. Besides, the tens of thousands of eagle's soul grass that we obtained from Bai Yixiao are of excellent quality. As long as they grow, they can be replanted. As long as we don't use them for 10 years, we can increase the production to hundreds of thousands of stalks every year. This is a great blessing for the Eagle clan. Congratulations, Your Majesty. God bless our clan. The Eagle clan's experts and higher-ups were overjoyed. If they could produce hundreds of thousands of stalks of eagle's soul grass every year, who knew who would be the strongest among the demon clan 100 years later? It's a pity that there are so many eagle demons in the clan who don't care about the bigger picture and only care about their own. Otherwise, the Eagle clan's ability will definitely rise to a higher level. It's normal for demons, don't mind it. The Eagle Emperor waved his hand indifferently. Yun Yang had already snuck into the Eagle clan's territory. The first thing he did was to investigate the background of the Golden Condor King who had entered the bound of universe back then, as well as his name. This matter was naturally difficult to investigate, but it was not to the extent of being too difficult to investigate. When the Golden Condor clan had gone out to abduct humans, they had sent out many experts, but they had returned with heavy casualties. This was not a trivial matter, no matter how one looked at it. After spending some effort, traveling 7,000 miles and asking 3 cities of the Eagle clan, he finally found out the whereabouts of the Golden Condor King. However, after thinking for a long time, Yun Yang changed his mind at the last minute and decided not to scare the Golden Condor King. Once he did so, there was a high chance that his human identity would be exposed. Whether or not the other party would buy it was one thing, but it was too risky to expose his identity. I've already done it twice, there's no harm in doing it again. I'll just use the fox's identity, Yun Yang sighed helplessly. He was really going to trap the Fox Emperor until he died. It was too unethical. This sect leader feels very guilty in my heart. He thought of how troubled the Fox Emperor would be when this matter broke out. Yun Yang sighed. If it really doesn't work out, you can come to the bound of universe and seek shelter from me. I've actually done it in a week. Surprise. But I'm really exhausted. I'll rest for 2 days. These few days, I'll maintain it by 2 hours a day. Then, after I've rested, we'll continue to do it again. Chapter 1298. Also, what was the Condor tribe going to use to open up the situation? The Crane tribe had used the amethyst honey to open up the situation due to the White Bear tribe. The Eagle tribe had long planned to use the eagle's soul grass as an opportunity. How was the Condor tribe going to deal with it? What did the Condor tribe prefer? Yin Yang had to calm himself down and ask around. He had gotten the clue about the eagle's soul grass when he stayed in Tian Fa Holy Land for more than a month and found out that the mystical eagle tribe in Tian Fa Holy Land lacked the eagle's soul grass but claimed that their situation was 100 times better than the demons. That was how Yin Yang came up with a plan. However, this method could not be replicated with the Condor tribe. Other than knowing a little about the Golden Condor King, Yunyang was not familiar with the other aspects of the Condor race. Realizing that his own knowledge of the Condor race was too limited, Yunyang had turned into one and tried his best to gather information for half a month, going through countless books and documents related to the Condor race. Then, something called the golden marrow fruit entered his line of sight at the right time. The golden marrow fruit is a specialty of the demon race. This fruit tastes great and was once used as a premium spiritual fruit in banquets. It was later discovered that this fruit can also promote the evolution of the Condor tribe's blood marrow, increasing the tribe's potential. Other than that, the more golden marrow fruits one consumes before cultivating, the faster one's cultivation progress will be. It's extinct now. The golden marrow fruit's condition is the same as the eagle's soul grass, but why has Tian Fa Holy Land never heard of the existence of this fruit? Yunyang stroked his chin. As long as he could achieve his goal, he did not mind doing it again. Emmy, can you get a batch of these golden marrow fruits? Yunyang asked. Emmy looked at the golden marrow fruit's characteristics and whimpered a few times, looking rather reluctant. Its attitude was different from the time when it had the eagle's soul grass. The eagle's soul grass was rare and difficult to find in the demon-type eagle clan, but it grew in the holy land of Tian Fa. Emmy did not need to expend extra energy and could easily grow a lot of this spiritual plant. However, not only was the golden marrow fruit extinct in the demon-type eagle clan, it was probably extinct in the holy land of Tian Fa as well. It would have to create something out of nothing if it wanted to reappear. Although they could still be produced, the process required a large amount of life energy. They had to put several heavenly treasures that were similar to each other and fuse their life energy to transform them into a brand new plant. Moreover, it had to be accelerated and matured quickly in order to give birth to the mother plant. All of these required a large amount of energy. As for Emmy, who was used to only taking in and not giving out, it was rather displeased. It felt that it was a typical thankless effort if it did not convert. Emmy, you must help this time. Yunyang said seriously, this fruit is related to the success or failure of this trip. There is no room for error. Aya, Emmy waved its vine around in dissatisfaction. You make it sound so easy, but do you know how much energy it takes to create something out of nothing? All you need to do is to move your lips and give out orders. However, I'm the one who does the work and pays the price. What's consumed is my wealth. Do you know about my wealth? As long as you can make it, I can guarantee that you will be able to get 10 times the amount of heavenly treasures from the Condor tribe. Furthermore, it's at least 10 times. Yunyang's offer was one that Emmy could not refuse. Emmy was still a little reluctant, but it had already begun its work. From its perspective, a mere 10 times profit could not even be compared to its own efforts. It should at least be like what it did with the Eagle tribe, exchanging for 1,000 times the profit of heaven and earth treasures, and this was under the premise that the exotic metals and demon cores were not included. 10 times, how dare you say that? The corners of Yunyang's lips twitched. The eagle's soul grass was a material object and there were many finished products from the holy land of Tian Fa. Whether it was growing it separately or cultivating better seeds, it was as easy as flipping one's hand. It could be easily grown and the profits would be unimaginable. However, the golden marrow fruit was already extinct, whether it was in the realm of demons or the holy land of Tian Fa. Since it was extinct, there had to be an actual fruit tree first. I'll try my best. Just you wait. Emmy grumbled in dissatisfaction and began to work. A full 10 days had passed. Emmy was indeed a unique life form that surpassed this world. It managed to cultivate the golden marrow fruit very quickly, even producing the first batch of 3,000 golden marrow fruits. What followed next was much easier. In his deific consciousness, patches of golden marrow fruit trees spread out continuously. 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, 100 acres. The crucial golden marrow fruit was also produced continuously, hanging on the branches as they ripened one by one. Yunyang set up his stall in the Eagle tribe's territory once again, setting up a trading stall. selling golden marrow fruits. This sudden roar immediately caused countless condors to rush over upon hearing it, causing an endless uproar. The location Yun Yang had chosen this time was outside the Eagle tribe's capital. However, the plan was still to purchase a batch of heaven and earth treasures to fill Emmy's gap, then use the golden marrow fruits as a stepping stone. Unsurprisingly, the frenzied buying scene of the Eagle tribe followed suit in the Eagle tribe's territory. However, what Yun Yang did not expect was, he had set up his stall for 2 days before the Eagle tribe's royalty finally arrived. This efficiency was infuriatingly slow. The Eagle tribe's reputation of being the laziest among the flying races of the demon race was indeed well-deserved. Fortunately, the final outcome was similar to what Yun Yang had imagined. In fact, as long as the right strategy was found, no matter which race it was, as long as they found the right person, met the emperor, and the other party had the bearing of an emperor, the process would be as smooth as before. The so-called emperor of a race was already calculating. It was no longer a matter of temporary gains and losses. Karma was even more important. If they were to forcefully seize it, there would inevitably be inner demons growing on the path of a saint. The path forward would be obstructed and the gains would not make up for the losses. A month later, all the soul-devouring trees in the Eagle tribe's underground prison were on the brink of death. Yun Yang still looked disappointed, as if he was disappointed that his wish had not been fulfilled. He stepped out of the Eagle tribe's territory reluctantly. In the palace behind him, the Eagle Emperor said, "Wishful thinking. The demon fox is too naive. He actually wants me to write him a letter to go to another prison." Humph, wishful thinking. Thinking that he had actually made a deal with a lowly little fox like you, the Eagle Emperor was rather displeased. "Leave immediately. Never come back." The Eagle Emperor's meaning was clear, scram. "I don't want to see you again." Therefore, Yun Yang left immediately. Even if the Eagle Emperor did not ask him to leave, sect leader Yun would have left in a hurry. Besides, he did not want to come back in this lifetime. "Do I need you to chase me away? Your father didn't want to come at all. The soul-devouring trees are already useless, why would I come back?" Chapter 1299. Yun Yang left proudly as well. Greedy people were plentiful no matter which tribe they came from. How could Yun Yang not attract attention when he carried a huge sum of money? There was still a large group of Eagle Clan experts who came to intercept him, but they left the nest like the Eagle Clan. Yun Yang killed every single one of them. A large number of spirit pills appeared in Yun Yang's deific consciousness space once again. "Emmy, how is it? Are you satisfied now?" "Oh." Emmy worked contentedly in the space, taking care of and cultivating the newly received heaven and earth treasures. The result was better than Yun Yang had expected. The profit from the sale of the golden marrow fruits this time was more than 10 times the profit. More than half of the Condor tribe's heaven and earth treasures had been looted by Yun Yang. The golden marrow fruit's properties were similar to the eagle's soul grass. However, while the eagle's soul grass was mostly kept by the royal family, it could still be seen occasionally among the common folk. The golden marrow fruit, on the other hand, had long been extinct and could not be found in the entire bound of universe. Naturally, there was a difference between the two. Even though Yun Yang had set the price at an exorbitant price, much higher than that of the eagle's soul grass, the rush to buy them had not stopped. The buyers only wanted to buy the golden marrow fruit and did not bargain at all. In addition to the delay of the Eagle clan's royal family, the golden marrow fruits that Yun Yang had sold were much more than the eagle's soul grass that he had sold in the Eagle clan. Therefore, the heaven and earth treasures that he had obtained had expanded his deific consciousness space to more than 150 acres. The profit was more than 1,000 times, not to mention the rare metals and metals. The rare metals that had piled up in Yun Yang's space had become a real mountain due to Emmy's lack of time to deal with them. He didn't dare to say much, but he definitely had at least a few billion kilograms. The huge change in his deific consciousness space had indirectly driven the rapid improvement of Yun Yang's cultivation base. His mystical chi cultivation base was improving visibly every day. With the endless divine art, he was also advancing. The interception between the two clans had provided Yun Yang with a sea of karmic chi that did not pale in comparison to Crown King Crane Jyotian. Now, Yin Yang's mystical chi cultivation base had been pushed from the beginner of the second level of Supreme Saint to the pinnacle of the intermediate level. One more step and he would be able to step into the advanced level. The sixth tier of the endless divine art was also nearing completion, and was beginning to advance towards the seventh tier. Yin Yang had polished the first 6 forms of the divine edge over and over again, to the point where he was extremely familiar with them. Their power was growing stronger and stronger. To put it bluntly, Yin Yang's current combat power had increased more than 3 times as compared to when he had just entered the demon realm. His control over his force had also increased by more than 10 times. The Demon Peacock Emperor's realm is indeed a treasure trove for me. My cultivation and strength have improved tremendously. Yin Yang was pleased with himself as he flew towards his next target, the rock race. It had been almost 3 months since he had come to the Demon Peacock Emperor's realm and left the Crane clan. Who knew when these clans would discover the abnormality of the soul-devouring tree? He had to seize the time to do something. There were many demon races that could fly, but there were only a few that could fight. For example, the eagle race, the rock race, the crane race, the condor race, the phoenix race, the peacock race, the dragon race, the vulture race, and a dozen other large flying combat races. Yin Yang had destroyed 3 of them now, and among them, the eagle race had the highest number of prisoners among the demon race. The crane race and the condor race were only average. The rock race, on the other hand, was a flying race that was second only to the eagle race. As for the dragon and phoenix races, Yin Yang had never planned to go there from the beginning. The dragon race was the royal race of the demon race while the phoenix race was the royal race. These 2 races were the most mysterious and also the strongest among the demon race. Yin Yang felt that there was a high chance that he would never be able to come out if he went there, so he might as well not take the risk. As for the other races, the number of prisoners was very small, so Yin Yang did not think much of it. If I can successfully deal with the rock race, I'll go to the vulture and peacock races when I have the time. If I don't have the time, then forget it. Based on what I've gained now, I'm actually halfway done. Instead of continuing to target the soul-devouring tree, it's better to hurry back and report the situation here. This is the only way to solve the root of the problem. Unique spiritual materials that have been lost in history have appeared one after another. If someone with the intention of connecting them, there's a high chance that they can deduce the truth. If I'm exposed to the entire demon race's encirclement, it's really hard to guarantee my safety. I wanted to go to the monkey race to find out more about Mr. Nian, but it seems like I don't have the time now. Yin Yang calculated in his heart. What did the rock race like? Yin Yang began to ponder and discuss with Emmy as he hurried on his way. Emmy began to work overtime to produce spiritual roots of Kunpeng in batches. This was what the entire rock race desired the most. Its effect was similar to the eagle soul grass of the eagle race and the golden marrow fruit of the condor race. The only difference was that the spiritual root of Kunpeng existed in the world and was not considered rare in the rock clan. The biggest reason why Yin Yang was still researching this item was that it could only have a significant enhancement effect and it reached an upper-class quality and above. 99% of the spiritual roots of Kunpeng that circulated in the rock clan were middle-class or lower-class ones. The spiritual roots that Yin Yang had asked Emmy to produce were at least of superior quality, and many of them were even of heaven quality. Spiritual roots of Kunpeng of such quality were definitely not found in the entire rock race, but they were also irreplaceable items that they dreamed of. To Yin Yang, he was not afraid of them having requests, he was afraid of them having no desires. In fact, Yin Yang wanted to go to the dragon race the most. The dragon race loved all kinds of treasures. These did not even require any capital, Yin Yang had plenty of them at home. What about mystical crystals, ethereal amethysts, and supreme-grade spiritual jade? He believed that these would have a huge market in the dragon race. If push came to shove, he could ask Emmy to forge a few treasured sabers and blades from those exotic metals or some other exquisite items. He did not believe that the dragon race would be able to resist it. The brighter they were, the better they would be punished in the dragon race's market. On the other hand, what the dragon race did not care about to the extreme were the treasures of heaven and earth. That was the place to make a fortune, but it was something that could only be seen but not reached. Yin Yang sighed in his heart. The rock race should be able to give him some surprises. 1.5 months later, Yin Yang ended his journey in the rock race smoothly. As he walked out of the rock race's imperial city, he was intercepted as usual. Yin Yang had long expected such an encounter. He was almost used to it, so he killed them without hesitation. However, towards the end, when he was about to walk out of the rock race's territory, Yin Yang was met with an unprecedented high-ranking attack. On that day, the sky behind Yin Yang blocked out the sun as his wings covered the sky. On this day, not only were there many rock race civilians who had chased after him like before, there were also many members of the rock race's royal family who had joined in the battle. If that was all, Yin Yang would not have minded it much, although he was surprised. Perhaps the members of the royal family were impressive in the eyes of other demons, and they would not kill them under normal circumstances. However, who was Yin Yang? To him, the so-called royal family was no different from the other rock race civilians. What harm was there in dying? However, what truly shocked Yin Yang was that there were 2 Saint Lord level rock clan pinnacle experts among the pursuers. Saint Lord level experts were the pinnacle of the demon race, existences that transcended the limits of authority and status. Of course, with such a cultivation base, the status of these 2 in the rock race had long been said to be second only to the rock race, but above all the rock race. They themselves possessed a high position that surpassed the level of a prince. Such combat power would not appear unless it was a decisive battle between humans and demons, or if the race was in danger of being annihilated. However, these 2 had chased after him personally today. Yin Yang's heart skipped a beat. *T. There was only one explanation: the matter of the soul-devouring tree had been exposed. Yin Yang's guess was right. The demon race had indeed found out about the soul-devouring tree. I've been exposed. I've been exposed. My secret stash has been exposed once again. Apt. Chapter 1300. Yin Yang's guess was right. The demonic race had indeed found out about the soul-devouring tree. And it was not just recently. This matter could be traced back to 2 months ago, when the Eagle clan was the first to discover the problem with the soul-devouring tree. The Eagle Emperor had been happy for a long time because of the Eagle's soul grass, thinking that the day when the Eagle clan's overall strength would increase greatly was not far away. It was only a matter of time before they replaced the Dragon clan as the strongest race in the realm of demons. However, he was surprised to notice that the demonic soul jade, which used the soul-devouring tree as a medium to absorb the power of the celestial luck banner and the heir of reproduction, had not changed at all recently. Yin Yang had initially thought that the soul-devouring tree's method of absorbing the heir of reproduction from the imprisoned humans and the power of the celestial luck banner would take a long time to see results. On the other hand, it should be difficult to notice that the soul-devouring tree was no longer providing energy for a considerable period of time. Yin Yang's judgment was not wrong, but he did not know that when the demonic race was using the soul-devouring tree, they were also using the demonic soul jade that was unique to the demonic realm. The demonic soul jade specialized in absorbing the stolen aura and would change color accordingly. Generally, the demonic soul jade's initial state was snow white. As it absorbed the air of human life, it gradually turned from pure white to pale red, then pink, then bright red, then dark red, and finally black. Then, it could be exchanged for 2 new pieces of demonic soul jade, and the cycle repeated endlessly. This time, however, it was only pale red. There was no change for a long time, and something was amiss. Considering the old fox's words, he might have absorbed a considerable amount of human life and caused a certain degree of negative impact. To be on the safe side, the Eagle clan's experts observed patiently for a few more days and confirmed that there was still no change in the demonic soul jade, so they simply exchanged it for 2 new pieces of demonic soul jade. After a month, the demonic soul jade was still white and flawless. It did not make sense that there was no abnormality. Under normal circumstances, the demonic soul jade should have a pale red texture after 3 to 5 days. Another month should be enough for it to turn pale red. The fact that the demonic soul jade had not changed for a whole month was a serious matter. The gatekeeper reported it to the Eagle sovereign immediately. At this moment, Yun Yang was already on his way to the Rock tribe and was almost there. After the Eagle Emperor found out about this matter, he did not rush to a conclusion and began to investigate. At the same time, he changed 2 new demon soul jades and sent people to observe for 5 days. Finally, he confirmed that there was a problem. Then, he checked the formation in reality. After confirming that it was fine, the Eagle Emperor personally entered the underground prison to check on the condition of the soul-devouring trees. Only then did he realize that although the tens of thousands of soul-devouring trees were still alive, their vitality was greatly weakened and they were on the verge of death. They only had the instinct to struggle for their lives, and they could no longer respond to the formation to seize the life of humans and the power of the celestial luck banner. If he were to wait for the soul-devouring tree to recuperate and fully recover, it would take at least 1,000 years. This fact was like a bolt out of the blue to the Eagle Emperor. As the Eagle Emperor thought about it, he immediately thought of that despicable white fox, White Smile. This must be the fault of this demon, causing such a change. Thus, he made a prompt decision and immediately gave the order to capture Bai Yi Shao. We must capture him alive. The Eagle Emperor was still holding on to the possibility that Bai Yi Shao had extracted the life of the soul-devouring tree in order to survive, and did not deliberately affect the operation of the prison. After all, Bai Yi Shao was a genius in cultivating spiritual plants, and it would be a pity to kill him directly. The Eagle Emperor's order was earth-shattering, and his murderous aura enveloped the entire territory of the Eagle clan. The experts of the Eagle clan swarmed out. Then, the Eagle Emperor began to contact the Eagle clan. On the Eagle Emperor's side, he was still immersed in the joy of obtaining the golden marrow fruit. When he heard this news, he was instantly dumbfounded. Wasn't that fox called Bai Yi Shao? He was called Hu Jiugong. Was he a fox? He couldn't be a fox, right? But he had already left. He had already left for so many days. Then, he immediately went to check, and immediately discovered the problem. The Eagle Emperor almost collapsed. The experts of the 2 clans began to hunt him down at the same time. And it was also at this time that the Crane clan also discovered that something was wrong. They began to investigate. Naturally, they found the Heavenly Crown King. The poor Heavenly Crown King had yet to recover from his injuries when he was captured and thrown into prison. Without torture, he confessed about the Crown Prince of the Fox clan. Therefore, they began to investigate this Crown Prince of the Fox clan, and at the same time, they ordered the capture of the relevant demon members, such as Crane Jiutian. However, upon further investigation, they realized that Crane Jiutian and the other Supreme Lords were no longer in Heavenly Crown City, and no one knew where they had gone. Even the friends and acquaintances who had investigated Crane Jiutian were no longer around. After much investigation, they found out that Crane Jiutian had contacted many experts, but their whereabouts were unknown. It was said that they had found a place to hide, and were prepared to serve the Crown Prince of the Fox clan. The Crane Emperor was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. No matter how miraculous it was, the investigation had to continue, and the target was set on that Violet, the so-called Crown Prince of the Fox clan. When all of this happened, Yun Yang had just come out of the Rock clan's prison. He had just finished the Rock clan's farewell banquet, and after drinking to his heart's content, he had left Peng City leisurely. The Crane Emperor, Eagle Emperor, and Eagle Emperor began to report this news. The Demon Emperor began to thoroughly investigate all the flying races, and the spiritual message quickly reached the Rock clan. Emperor Rock was shocked when he heard the news, but he immediately ordered the capture. The feedback was that Yun Yang had already left the city. He had left the city. This was simply, Emperor Rock almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Thus, he sent experts to chase after Yun Yang. It was unknown whether it was fortunate or unfortunate. The first batch of pursuers sent by Emperor Rock did not lack members of the royal family, but the strongest one was only a supreme lord. After all, in Emperor Rock's eyes, it was enough to send 3 pinnacle second-grade supreme lords to hunt down a beginner second-grade supreme lord fox. Yun Yang, who had long been used to being hunted and intercepted, and whose strength had increased greatly, killed everyone at once. He did not realize the true intentions of the Royal Rock clan. It just so happened that there was new progress in Heavenly Crown King's interrogation. He confessed that the Crown Prince of the Fox clan had a genuine Fox King's blood token. It was definitely not a fake. In other words, at least his identity as a member of the Fox clan was not fake. This matter was too important, and the sovereigns of the various races could no longer bear it. They immediately reported it to the Demon Emperor. The entire demon race had been turned upside down. The Demon Emperor was greatly enraged. One had to know that after the Crane Emperor, Eagle Emperor, and Eagle Emperor were unlucky, Emperor Rock was also unlucky. And now, the Fox Emperor was implicated. This was a total of 5 sovereigns. How could this be? Chapter 1301. Among the 12 emperors, the Rock Emperor, the Eagle Emperor, the Fox Emperor were all among them. 1/3 of the 12 emperors were involved in this matter, not to mention the Crane Emperor. This was an earth-shattering case. Once more unforeseen events occurred, perhaps the story of the 9 Lives Demon Cat clan would repeat itself. It might even be bigger than the 9 Lives Cat Demon clan. It was much bigger. The entire demon clan would be shaken. The current demon clan could not withstand such a huge upheaval. The Demon Emperor immediately ordered the lockdown of the demon clan. Seeing that the situation was getting out of control, he immediately set up a special task force to deal with this matter. No matter what, get to the bottom of this matter. This is something that will shake the foundation of the demon clan. Thinking about how the underground prison that had been set up for countless years and consumed countless demonic powers was suddenly destroyed, the Demon Emperor was furious. He even had the intention to kill the Eagle Emperor and the other emperors. Your Majesty, the Fox Emperor is the biggest suspect. He has always been at the Blood Soul Mountain and has never come to the Demon Palace to pay his respects. There are many reasons for this. But now, something like this suddenly happened. It's very strange. Please arrest the 9-tailed white fox and bring him to justice. Elder Azure Dragon stood up immediately and spoke passionately. The Demon Emperor's heart was in turmoil. Although the Fox Emperor might not betray them, this matter was definitely related to him. One must know that not every demon clan could get the Fox Emperor's personal token. This matter must be dealt with as soon as possible. Your Majesty, if the humans find out, the consequences will be unimaginable. All the elders were deeply worried. The Demon Emperor hesitated for a moment and immediately called for a meeting. After a discussion, he sent a group of experts to the Fox clan to contact the Fox Emperor. The Demon Emperor even gave a strict order: if the Fox Emperor returned obediently, then so be it, but if there were any abnormalities, he could be killed on the spot. At this critical moment, we cannot afford any mistakes. Everyone, if anything happens, you can handle it as you see fit. The Dragon Emperor gave such an order very carefully. The Azure Dragon Elder immediately led 9 experts and a total of 10 Saint Monarchs to carry out the order. I will definitely get to the bottom of this matter. Be careful. Yes. Smoke and dust billowed as the Azure Dragon Elder led the team away. Seeing the Azure Dragon Elder leave, the Spirit Demon King felt as if he had overlooked something. However, at this moment, his internal organs were burning with anxiety. He was so anxious that blisters formed on his lips, but he couldn't remember what it was. Then, he was so busy that his feet didn't even touch the ground, completely forgetting about it. On the other hand, the entire sky was turned upside down. In the entire Demon Peacock Emperor's realm, trillions of demons moved at the same time. Capture Violet, smiling white-clothed, Hujio, and 13th brother Jade Fox. Of course, these foxes were all the same. Speaking of which, the rock race had mixed feelings. They had just finished drinking with him and happily sent him off. Then, they immediately found out that he was a big liar, a big spy. The most important thing was to quickly arrest him and bring him to justice. When Emperor Rock received the news, all the rocks in the royal family, who had been drinking with the old fox over the past few days, were dumbfounded. Everyone is so congenial, but you're actually a spy. It was actually a spy. Fortunately, the rock race had greedy people chasing after the fox race's liar, so they did not have to worry about losing track of 13th brother Jade Fox for the time being. Otherwise, Emperor Rock's men might not be able to catch up. Yun Yang, who was in the midst of battle, knew that things were not looking good when he saw the sky full of pursuers behind him. Greedy as he was, he knew the severity of the situation. He did not even care about the demon cores that he had yet to collect as he transformed into a water manifestation and dashed into a small river nearby. In reality, his real self had turned into a breeze and soared into the sky, soaring with all his might. Mamma mia, so scary. I'm so scared. By the time the rock race's Saint Lords arrived nearby, Yun Yang was long gone. In the time it took to catch its breath, the martial arts experts attacked together, turning the small river into a desert. However, no matter how much time had passed, whether it was a river or a desert, the detestable fox was nowhere to be seen. There was no trace of him at all. They had sealed the sky, sealed the ground, and sealed off the space. Every method they had used was useless. This guy, how could he just disappear like that? He had vanished without a trace under everyone's watchful eyes. The rock race's experts were so furious that their lungs almost exploded. At the same time, many of the Kunpeng spiritual roots that the Peng race had just obtained suddenly began to wither and turn into dregs in an extremely short amount of time. Only those that had already taken the Kunpeng spiritual roots could be considered to have benefited. From this moment onwards, the rock race had lost the spiritual roots of Kunpeng once again. The golden marrow fruits of the eagle race were the same. The area in the palace's secret grounds, where the golden marrow fruit trees were cultivated, was filled with a sense of death. There was no sign of life as all the fruit trees had withered. The eagle race's eagle soul grass was even worse, all of them had turned into dust. Chapter 1302. Yun Yang, who was on the run, was shocked to find that the entire demon race was in chaos. Even the demons in the sea were hurriedly shuttling back and forth, saying that they would help catch the spy. According to the news from the demon race. To find the spy, he has used the names, Violet, White Robe Shao, Hujio, 13th brother Jade Fox. He often dresses up as a fox. This demon has the ability to transform. After transforming, even a saint cannot detect him. This order was spread all over the world. What was more, the Dragon and Phoenix clans had sent out all the experts with the ability to discern. An order was sent directly to the Nameless River. Golden Sacred Fish Clan, listen up. Come out of the water and cooperate to capture the demon fox. In the sea. Sea Dragon Clan, listen up. Sea Spirit Clan, listen up. Come out of the water and cooperate to capture the demon fox. Anyone who captures the demon fox, regardless of race, will be rewarded with 80 million Saint Yuan coins, a marquee title, a general position, a mansion in the imperial city, and can participate in the princess's son-in-law selection. When this reward was announced, all the demons were stirred again. The demon fox had the ability to transform. This meant that any demon they met could be the incarnation of the demon fox. The difficulty was undoubtedly extremely high. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. However, this difficulty would not affect the enthusiasm of the demons. This was the only chance for the demon race to ascend to the heavens in one step in hundreds of thousands of years. For this opportunity, all the demons could not help but go crazy. All the demons imagined themselves to be the lucky demon who could capture the target and ascend to the heavens in one step. Therefore, even the demons closest to them, their best friends and brothers, began to doubt. After the doubt, it was a test to put into action. How much wine did we drink last night? What wine did we drink last night? We played together the night before yesterday. Who was with us? Do not underestimate such a simple question. In just 2 days, the number of demons who died from such simple questions was no less than thousands. If the answer was wrong, they would immediately fight. If the donkey's lips did not match the horse's mouth, they would immediately fight to the death. Even if it was a little vague, take it down. Among them, the foxes in various places were the unluckiest. After all, although the target was said to have the ability to change into tens of thousands of forms, most of the people he changed into were foxes, regardless of whether it was Violet, the 13th prince of the Jade Fox, or the crown prince of the Fox clan. Furthermore, the master of Sky Crown City had once said that he had the Fox Emperor's token on him. Because of this, countless members of the Fox clan were captured. Since the Fox clan was able to be ranked among the 12 sovereigns of the Demon clan, they naturally had many strong individuals. Strong individuals had their own pride, but as long as one was unwilling to surrender, they were directly killed. So what if it was confirmed that they were not the target? If they dared to resist, it had already vaguely proved that they were the accomplices of the target demon fox. There was no way to kill them. In the span of a few days, tens of thousands of foxes scattered throughout the demon realm were slaughtered. As for the higher-ups of the demon clan, in order to be more effective in dealing with Yun Yang, they mobilized the experts with the power of the soul and divided them into 8 directions. There was more than one case of the golden fish. At the same time, the demon clan's most reclusive and most mysterious fortune-tellers also gathered in the demon palace. According to the information gathered from all sides, they worked together to make a divination. However, whether it was the psionic demons or the fortune-tellers, no matter how they investigated and divined, they did not find anything that could be used. As a demon fox, there should be some fox fur left at the place you've been, shouldn't there? There should be some scent left at the place you've been, shouldn't there? These clues that should have existed were all gone. Condor Emperor, Crane Emperor, Rock Emperor, and Falcon Emperor came to the demon palace one after another. Falcon Emperor, Rock Emperor, Eagle Emperor, and Condor Emperor all looked gloomy. They were filled with an aura that had erupted but was forcefully suppressed. Condor Emperor, Rock Emperor, and Falcon Emperor were the pinnacle of the demon clan's 12 sovereigns. The humiliation they had suffered this time was simply the shame of a lifetime, something that could not be washed away even with all the water of the lunar river. Among these sovereigns, the Crane sovereign was the one who felt more comfortable. Sigh, this is so embarrassing. The Crane sovereign's face was gloomy, to think that I entrusted such an important place to Tianguan. I trusted him so much, but he actually made such a big mistake for me. Annihilating his entire clan and killing his 9 generations is already letting him off lightly. He deserves to be killed in both his soul and be doomed eternally. Condor Emperor, Rock Emperor, and Condor Emperor did not say a word, but they turned to look at the Crane sovereign at the same time. What do you mean by that? Our situation is similar to Crown King's, all right? He should be destroyed in both soul, but what about us? Should we do the same? The Crane sovereign sighed with his hands clasped behind his back as if he did not see the 3 sovereigns' cold gazes. He shook his head and said, "The Crane clan has really embarrassed themselves this time." Sigh. However, I have never seen this demon fox before. If I had, I would definitely not let him have his way. That bastard Heavenly Crown is too short-sighted, that's why he fell into this demon's trap. Condor Emperor, Rock Emperor, and Eagle Emperor's breathing grew heavy. The Crane Sovereign did not see it, but the three of them did. The Crane Sovereign had the Heavenly Crown King as his scapegoat, so he could stay out of it. However, the three of them had promised the demonic fox and boldly sent her into the land of captivity. After that, they even politely sent her off. The Crane Sovereign's words were clearly to provoke the three sovereigns. It was blatant and undisguised. It was too insulting. The Crane Sovereign refused to shut up. He shook his head and said, "Luckily, I'm too weak to be ranked among the 12 sovereigns. Otherwise, I would really be too ashamed to face the demon. Shame, shame." Bam! The Crane Sovereign was thrown to the ground by the Eagle Sovereign's wing, and he could no longer move. The Eagle Sovereign said calmly, "I've been burning with anger recently, and I want to use the Crane's crown to calm myself down. Condor Emperor, Rock Emperor, do you two need anything?" Rock Emperor laughed sinisterly and said, "The Crane Sovereign said that we've lost all our face. I only have one thought now, and that is to put the crane's wing on myself and become the Crane Sovereign of the crane race. Then, I won't have to bear this shame, right?" The Eagle Sovereign's eyes were cold. "To tell you the truth, I'm old and weak, and I'm losing my ability to take care of my concubines. I need some nourishment to improve. It's rare to see such a good thing, and I can use it. Other than what the three of us need, the rest will not be wasted. There's a famous chef in my race, and he's good at cooking cured meat. I'll hang the remains of the corpses to dry and make them into delicacies, and I'll share them with the two of you." The Eagle Sovereign and Rock Emperor nodded repeatedly. "Good, good, good. That's exactly what I want." The Crane Sovereign was pressed down by the Eagle Sovereign's wing in the Demon Emperor Palace's main hall, and he couldn't move anymore. When he heard the three Demon Sovereigns talking about him, he couldn't help but cry out in anger and shame, "Eagle Sovereign! The three of you have lost all your face, and yet you want to vent your anger on me. I'm not someone to be trifled with." The Eagle Emperor directly slapped a certain emperor's crane crown red, and said indifferently, "This emperor is willing. Who asked you to be weak? Who asked you to be weak?" These 4 words were a direct hit to the Crane Sovereign, and there was no room for him to refute. "Although I'm weak, I've never lost such a big demon. I didn't invite a wolf into my house, and I didn't open the door to a thief." The Crane Sovereign's sorrowful and indignant roar resounded in the Demon Emperor Palace. The 3 sovereigns were even more furious, and without any explanation, they all attacked, and the entire Demon Emperor Palace shook. When the Demon Sovereign came in, the Crane Sovereign was already on the verge of death. Although the items on his body were still intact, his original form was revealed. A huge white crane was lying on the ground with its wings drooping, and it could only exhale, but not inhale. It was so pathetic that it was unbearable to look at it. The corner of the Demon Sovereign's mouth twitched, and he said indifferently, "The 3 of you agreed to let the demon fox into the prison that you're guarding, and yet you're still so excited? 3 high-grade Saint Monarchs ganging up on a second-grade Saint Monarch. Are you planning to use this to celebrate and vent your excitement?" Critical hit. If the Crane Sovereign suffered a critical hit of 10,000 points, then the 3 sovereigns were suffering a critical hit of at least 1,000,000 points. No matter how cheap the Crane Sovereign's mouth was, he was still in existence on the same level as the 3 sovereigns. But that demon fox was just a piece of cake for the 3 sovereigns. A demon that could be easily killed, but was instead toyed with in the palm of the 3 sovereigns' hands. The 3 sovereigns were panting heavily, and their eyes were wide open. They were already filthy enough, and their wounds were opened up again and again, over and over again. Facing the Demon Sovereign, even if they couldn't win, they would let the Demon Sovereign know why flowers were red. They were too weak. These words were returned to the 3 sovereigns by the Demon Sovereign in one piece. The Demon Sovereign slapped the Crane Sovereign's back, and a surge of energy surged into him, healing his wounds and restoring his human form. He then took a leisurely step and sat on the throne. He said faintly, "What you've provided so far is meaningless. It's of no help in finding the demon fox. How is it possible that the demon fox didn't find anything? The 4 sovereigns were shocked. For the sake of safety, they had moved the entire room where Yun Yang used to stay here. They had even uprooted the entire plot of land where Yun Yang used to set up his stall. As long as there was a trace of scent or a strand of hair left in these places, the royal family's top fortune tellers would definitely be able to track the demon fox's whereabouts with their soul. However, there was no effect at all. There's no scent left. There's no hint of cultivation method left. There's no hair left either. There's no blood, soul, or energy left. The demon sovereign's muscular body sat on the throne, and his voice was heavy. The other party should have been prepared for this. The situation now is that there has never been a demon fox like this in the entire realm of demonic beasts. The 4 sovereigns were stunned. How could this be? How could this be? Even the 4 of them would leave some traces when they weren't paying attention. This demon fox could actually leave no trace from the beginning to the end. How could this be? What kind of caution and scheming was this? The demon sovereign said in a low voice, "Are the 3 of you sure that this demon fox only has the cultivation base of a 2nd-level supreme saint?" Other than the crane sovereign, the other 3 sovereigns nodded in unison and said firmly, "There's no falsehood in this." The demon sovereign did not speak, his brows knitted together as he pondered. With the cultivation base and knowledge of the 3 sovereigns, if they said that Yun Yang only had the cultivation base of a 2nd-level supreme saint, then Yun Yang would definitely only have this level of cultivation base. There was no possibility of any falsehood or misjudgment. This was the natural law of the bound of universe, and no one could go against it. The Rock Emperor took a deep breath and said, "This incident has caused us to forget our roots and be blinded by greed. However, when it comes to cultivation base, it's impossible for the few of us to not be able to see the true level. Moreover, this is the consensus of the 3 of us. There's no mistake about this." The demon sovereign revealed a faint smile and said slowly, "Your judgment is indeed sharp." The 3 sovereigns' expressions changed at the same time. Although it was only 3 words, who could not understand the meaning behind it? The eagle sovereign's face darkened, and he said, "Your Majesty, there's no need to mock us." The demon sovereign was silent for a moment, and he said indifferently, "Mock us? Do you think that my words are unpleasant?" "No, I don't want to mock at all now. I don't want to mock any demon. I just want to kill." His gaze was cold, and although his voice was as calm as ever, his heavy aura was like countless mountains that were about to collapse. Compared to land demon beasts, there aren't many powerful flying demon races. There are even fewer that can travel long distances and return safely. It's not like you don't know how many of our ancestors died in order to capture humans back then. How much price did we pay? We sacrificed a total of 127 peak demon battle strength, including 15 great sage powerhouses. Only after countless years of accumulation did we manage to capture those humans into our hands. The demon sovereign's voice was like a volcano brewing. For the soul-devouring tree, more than 1,000 holy venerables worked at the same time. Only then did we meet the requirements of the array formation. As for the underground prison, the construction of a total of 12 underground prisons took all the resources of the entire demon race for 300,000 years to complete. This doesn't even include the 99 million demon lives that were sacrificed. In order to complete this array, the entire demon race and the entire 10,000 demon planes were impoverished and lived a difficult life. That being the case, we should still try our best to maintain the daily supplies of the underground prison without slacking off in case of any mistakes. How many demons can you provide for, and how many demons died because of the lack of resources? You guys clearly know. You guys are the ones who know the most. And our only hope is to use the accumulation of the 12 arrays over the years to create a path for the demon race, to kill our way into the bound of universe, and to get rid of this barren land of the 10,000 demon planes. The demon sovereign's voice was solemn. This is the common hope of all the demons. All these years, we have never taken such good care of these human captives. Not even our own sons. We serve them like grandfathers every day, afraid that they will be unhappy, commit suicide, give up, refuse to cultivate, or fall sick. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.